February 16th, 2021 council meeting is called back into session. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen.
I move to adjourn the February 16th, 2021 meeting.
Can I get a second?
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, seconded by Councilman Smiley. Do we have any unfinished business on the February 16th agenda? Hearing none, seeing nobody recognized to speak, we are hereby adjourned without objection. Sergeant at Arms, please call our March 2nd, 2021 council meeting to order.
Oh yes. This honorable council of the city of Memphis is hereby called to order for the transaction of business pursuant to adjournment.
Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize our chaplain for the day, Father Ben Bradshaw of St. Michael Catholic Church, invited by Councilman Canale. Father Bradshaw, please lead us in prayer.
Thank you. This is a reading from Psalm 67. May the nations be glad and shout for joy, for you who govern the peoples justly, you guide the nations upon the earth. May the peoples praise you, O God. May all the peoples praise you. God our Father, we ask you to come and to be with each one of us. We ask you to guide and bless and enlighten us with your love and your mercy and your grace. We ask you to be with us and give us the cardinal virtues of prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude, and that you help us to become your children closer each day. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you for your prayer, Father. Councilman Canale, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Father Ben, for being with us and praying with us and for us today. Colleagues, if you haven't noticed, Father Ben has done amazing things, absolutely amazing things at St. Mike's and Summer Avenue. And one of the things that was most notable to me, and please correct me, Father, if I botch this, but so St. Michael's has a large Hispanic population and has for many years. And someone asked him, are you going to be a Hispanic church or an English-speaking church? And his response was, we are one church breathing with two lungs, which I thought was absolutely incredible. And what he's done to unite and to bridge between the Hispanic masses, the Spanish masses and the English masses, but to bring two people together for the same common purpose, which is worshiping God and doing great things for the church and the outreach community, has been a delight to see. Proud to call him my pastor. And Father, without further ado, be it hereby known that Father Ben Bradshaw, in recognition of a life of exemplary qualities, outstanding service to the city, meritorious involvement in humanitarian affairs, and demonstrated concern for governmental processes, has been appointed chaplain of the day of the Memphis City Council and is hereby entitled to all the honors, rights, privileges, and prerogatives appertaining to the office and to the display of this certificate, given under this seal, 2nd day of March, 2021, signed by Chairman Frank Colvett Jr., presented by myself. Thank you so much, Father, for taking time out of your day to be with us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And Father Ben, my wife and I love listening to your homilies online. They're absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. You combine history and make it simple enough that an elected official can understand it.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Take care now. All right, Council Lady Johnson, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I sure will. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Comptroller, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Canale.
Here.
Carlisle.
Present.
Easter Thomas. Ford. Johnson.
Present.
Jones.
Here.
Logan.
Present.
Morgan.
Here.
Robinson.
Present.
Smiley.
I'm here.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Present.
Warren,
Present.
Chairman Colette.
Present.
Ford, present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum. Thank you,
Ford.
Mr. Ford. I heard your response.
All right. Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize Councilman Carlisle before Vice Chair Lady Swearingen makes a motion on the minutes. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move without objection to correct my vote on item number 24, the resolution approving MLGW's debt management policy revisions to reflect in the affirmative, an aye.
Thank you very much. Without objection. Okay. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, you're recognized.
I read the minutes and find them to be in order with the said amendment made by Councilman Carlisle. I move for the adoption of the February 16th minutes for the meeting as amended.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, seconded by Council Lady Robinson. Madam Comptroller, please conduct a roll call to approve the minutes of the February 16th, 2021 meeting.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas, Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colette.
Yes. That item passes.
Comptroller, I'm sorry,
Ma'am?
Chairman. Comptroller, did you get my vote?
Easter Thomas, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. All right, that
Chair
item
Colette,
passes.
Chair
Ma'am,
Colette, this is Johnson. Might I have 2 seconds to speak?
yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, so much. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for all the expressions of sympathy that I received from the council and from the community in the passing of my brother. I truly appreciated it. It's been a difficult time, but things are going to work themselves out. Again, thank you. Thank you for thinking about me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady Johnson. Welcome, everyone, to the March 2nd, 2021 regular meeting of the Memphis City Council, which is being conducted electronically pursuant to the notice due to the COVID-19 emergency. Without objection, the notice of the meeting will be included in the minutes of this meeting. A notice of meeting was placed on the City Council webpage regarding how the public may electronically access the meeting and/or recording of the meeting and how to provide written comments concerning any agenda item or any other matter prior to this meeting. Public comments were to be submitted to the Memphis City Council 24 hours prior to today's meeting. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen will read those comments at the appropriate time. She will only read those comments that included the requisite information, which was the person's name and address. Incomplete comments or those received late will be sent to the council records and placed on file. The items to be held today are items 18, 19, and 20. They will be held, all three will be held to our next meeting on March 16th, 2021. Items 13 and 14 will be tabled until our first meeting in May. Add-ons will be items 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. That being said, Madam Comptroller, call item number 1.
Item number 1 is the introduction of the Memphis Youth City Council.
Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson, are you on the line?
I am. Hello.
You
So,
are right.
if it's okay for all of the youth council members to unmute yourselves and turn on your cameras as we roll out. So it's really exciting to be here to council chair, Ms. Colette, and comptroller, Madam Comptroller. Thank you again for, and all of you representatives of the city. Thank you for allowing us to join you today as we roll out our 2021 Memphis Youth City Council cohort. This is the first opportunity here again for us to meet. Everything, as you've said, Councilman, is certainly virtual. So one of the things that's important about this group of young people that we have here is they're just as dynamic as all the other cohorts you've met. There are 13 of them here, and they're eager to introduce themselves to you. And so I'm going to turn it over now to our chair, who is Miss Amane Glenn.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, and good evening, everyone. My name is Amane Glenn, and I'm chair of the Memphis City Youth Council. As a cohort, we strive to be a catalyst for change and a voice for our peers and community. Another one of our goals is that our districts and constituents will be impacted by our hard work, and the voices and concerns of each district are heard. I'm in the 10th grade at East High School, and I represent District 5 alongside Councilman Worth Morgan, who I look forward to working with. I am now going to give the opportunity for the rest of our cohort to introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anais Luna. I'm a member of the Memphis Youth City Council. I attend Y Station High School, and I'm a senior. My district is 9-1, and I serve alongside Representative Chase Carlisle.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Massey. I'm a senior at Y Station High School. I'm the current community service co-chair for NYCC, and I'm also the founder and president of Youth Student Alliance at Y Station High School. I represent Super District 9-2, and I serve along J4 Canali. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I look forward to communicating with you guys soon.
Good evening. My name is Destiny Rayner, and I am a Memphis Youth City Council member. I am a junior, and I attend Middle College High School. My district is District 3, and our representative is Patricia Robinson. Thank you for having me.
Good evening. My name is Jada Carter, and I'm a Memphis Youth City Council member. I attend Bartlett High School, where I'm a sophomore, and I'm representing District 2 with Frank Colvin Jr. I would just like to say, nice to meet you. I would just like to say I'm extremely excited to have the privilege and honor to be able to listen and communicate with you all today. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Allen, and I am the media specialist for the MCC, as well as the president of Special Olympics at my school. I am a senior at Overton High School. The district I represent is District 1, alongside council member Rhonda Logan.
Yay! Jonathan?
All right, sorry, it was taking a long time to unmute. Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Robinson, and I am a Memphis City Youth Council chair, and I am a junior at Middle College High School, and I am in Super District 9-3, and my district representative is Dr. Jeff Warren. And I just wanted to say I'm very excited to be here, and I feel really honored. Thank you.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Madison Smith, and I am a Memphis Youth City Council member. I am a senior at Germantown High School, and I represent Super District 8-3 alongside Councilmember Martavia Jones. I would just like to say I'm very excited for our collaboration this year. Thank you.
My name is Nathan Transu. I am in the 9th grade. I represent District 8-1 alongside Councilman Smiley. And I want to say that working with him has been a pleasure.
You're already putting the work, y'all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nina Collymore, and I am a MYCC member. I'm in the 12th grade, a senior at the Middle College High School, and my district is district number 7, and my representative is the lovely Michaelin Easter Thomas. And I would just like to say I'm so excited to work with you all today. And my goal for the youth of Memphis is to expose them to the many opportunities that we have in our great city.
Hey, Nina.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sasha Penn. I'm a Memphis Youth City Council member, I'm in the 10th grade and I attend Collierville High School. I represent District 6 alongside Edmund Ford Sr.
Lori, you're up.
Sorry about that. It was taking too long to unmute. My name is Eric McGee. I am a senior at Whitehaven High School. I am the community service chair for the NYCC. And my district representative is District 4, the co-vice chair, Miss Jamila Swearingen.
Alrighty, is that every? I'm hoping not to take this once. All right. Hi, my name is Talisa Elliott. I'm a junior. I attend White Station High School, and I represent Super District 8-2 alongside Miss Cheyenne Johnson. And I am very excited for this. I'm going to hop into this. We, as a cohort, we have had countless conversations, and we meet monthly with one another to discuss our values and discuss our passions and our activism and our ideas and our voices through something we've done similarly to vision boards to visualize our goals. And we've also had fun interactive icebreakers to break the ice, literally, to get to know one another, to bond with one another. This is a passionate young group, and we are so eager to hop onto different things. And so we've done that with community service. We've had so many different accomplishments over our short time together. Despite it being COVID-19, we have defied all odds. And through this, we have also encouraged one another during this time. We have worked with Rhonda Logan with the Community Service Project, which I'll allow Zurich to speak about later. And we've also talked with Dr. Hargraves and Dr. Wilkins about social, emotional, and mental health during this time, considering it has been very, very hard. We are still living through a COVID-19 epidemic, and it is taking a toll on some people differently, considerably our students. And so that's something that this group is very passionate about, and we've talked about it recently. Dr. Hargraves, who gave great advice to us in a roundtable talk that went on for about an hour, and we are hoping to create a potential website specifically for social emotional learning, as well as other social media platforms for students, but not just for students, for parents and teachers. We've done a great deal of work, and I would like to hand it back over to, I'm going to hand it back over to my chair, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Talicia. So now I would like to give Zurich and Brianna the opportunity to talk about our community service so far this year.
So I will talk to you about two of our events that we have done, and then the other one, which my co-community service chair has organized, she will talk about. So the first one, St. Jude, we worked with St. Jude to give Valentine's Day cards because this time of year can get very lonely for some people. So we decided to work with St. Jude in order to write letters of absolute joy and happiness, because it comes to a point where if you are dealing with a certain illness like cancer or like anything else, then you need strength to move on, and kind words are something that can actually help very much with that. The second thing that I will talk about, we have done a food drive with Councilwoman Logan, where it was a two-day process where one day we were packing and then the other day that we were giving out. And just the entire cohort worked together, and we all just came together to work through our difficulties during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I will hand it over to my co-community service chair.
Yes. So very recently, we're still actually in the effects of doing it. We decided to basically do a care package for our fellow homeless people that is unfortunately in their situation. So right now we are actually collecting care packages that are being sent to the youth service office to which consists of we have sanitary napkins, blankets, socks, anything that someone would need that they might just not have. And we're sending it to the Hope Homeless Shelter, and there's also a men's veterinarian shelter that we are also sending those two things for. And we so far have collected many packages, and we are looking forward to sending them out on the 8th. And right now I'm going to pass it to Jada Carter to speak to her experiences about one of these community service events that we have done.
Thank you, Brianna. And just as Zurich mentioned about our participation in a food drive, we had the privilege and honor of working with Councilwoman Logan, where we actually were participating in packaging and actually seeing what was being put into the boxes that we were later able to distribute to the community, and just being able to have that experience of actually putting it together and then seeing those people and connecting with those people while they're receiving, basic needs that everyone, you and I, that both of us need, that everybody in this whole room needs, and just seeing the joy and the uplifting spirit that it brought to actually have that connection and outreach with the community. It was amazing. Thank you.
So one of the things too that I think that as we're coming to a close, you see that the young people, they have a lot to share because they're really excited and passionate about their work in this community. But one of the highlights too, just as a cohort, and I see that Director Griffith has joined us, one of the highlights is that we've received a number of requests in terms of interest to collaborate, to replicate and duplicate just basically what the Memphis Youth City Council members here in the city along working, so passionately with you council members. We've received a request to participate in collaboration and planning from the city of Baltimore, from West Memphis, and the mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas. So I think that the work that the young people here are doing in our community, as role models, as mentors, and just behind the scenes, being that voice in their schools, working with principals. And Talisa mentioned Dr. Hargrave. We may not know that Dr. Hargrave is the actual executive director for Shelby County Schools Social Emotional Learning Program. And one of the highlights of this tenure of this young group is that from two of the roundtables that she had with our young people, she created a PowerPoint that she shared throughout the district with every partner principal, with the superintendent, and it's an actual living document. We're really proud of that, and where she's given the students credit for being passionate in their voice, living in social emotional learning support for the students here in the city. So finally, Nina Collimore is going to close us out with our work with MAP Global. And just on behalf of myself and our co-coordinator, Dr. Candace Jones, who is here with us, thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to working with you this year. They're eager to hear from you. They're eager to jump on board. And thank you, Councilman Smiley, who is already included, and Councilwoman Logan and Councilwoman Swearingen for already reaching out and, engaging these young people in meaningful work. So Nina, why don't you speak of just briefly, I think our time may be up, speak briefly about the global piece, and then I don't know if Director Griffith would like to say something, but on behalf of myself and Dr. Jones, thank you so much, and everyone be safe and look forward to a continued strong partnership.
Thank you so much, Ms. Janet. Yes, so not only are we making strides in our own city, but we are also impacting internationally. And I have had such the pleasure of working alongside students actually from Tel Aviv, Israel. And I would just quickly like to shout out and highlight Madison Smith and Destiny Rayner for also being a part of that process, and they are also on this council. And it was just an amazing experience. Briefly, we were working with students from GHIS, which is an international high school in Tel Aviv, Israel. And they were teaching us about the prejudice and the challenges that they face in Israel. And also we were leading them in how we handle the oppression and the many challenges that we face in America, and in how they differentiate and how we can come together, even though we are coming from different cultures and backgrounds, how we can tackle the same problem. And so we actually had breakout rooms. We talked about education, the education system, government, abuse of power, COVID, and racism and prejudice. And this all happened during the month of January, specifically on the 18th, which is Martin Luther King's birthday. And it was just such an amazing and enlightening experience. And they enjoyed us so much that they are inviting us to do it again. They want to plan more events and projects with us, and have even invited some of our students to actually attend school internationally in Tel Aviv, Israel, which I think is a great feat. And I'll just quickly allow Director Griffith, who is over the MAP program, to talk more about that from an adult's perspective, because from a student, it was just an experience like none other, and I can't wait to do it again.
Thank you so much, council members. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come before you today. I will be real brief. You know, one of the things I'm so proud of are our young people that we have within our Memphis Youth City Council. And this is our, I think, third cohort, Ms. Thompson, maybe fourth.
No, this is
But
the fifth
one. We are continuing to expose our young people. What Ms. Solomon failed to say also, we're implementing the MAP program in Tel Aviv, Israel. Okay, they are taking our blueprint and they are utilizing our blueprint and getting students involved in Tel Aviv, Israel, at this HIS school. So we are so very happy about that portion of it. Also getting ready to start collaboration with the Office of Youth Services in Baltimore to get a youth city council started there. So these young people are on the right track. They are future leaders of tomorrow, and I know we all can be proud of them. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Well done, guys. Well done. All right, Council Lady Logan, you're in the queue. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to commend the leaders of the Youth City Council program. They are an awesome bunch of young people. This cohort is so energetic, and I just appreciate them for their willingness to serve, and they're very inquisitive, and they were diligent and working very hard. They weren't just there for a photo op, but they really were concerned about the citizens that they were serving, and engaged in what we were doing. And I'm just so excited to work with them moving forward and imparting into them. I think this is an awesome program, and definitely hope we continue it and expand it. And once again, I just commend the leaders as well as the young people. We are in great hands from what I saw. Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you all for allowing them to work with us.
Thank you, Council Lady Logan. I echo your sentiments. I am so proud of the Youth City Council. Every year, it seems to get just better and better. The advice, if there is any to be had, is savor every minute of this. This is the kind of learning experience where you meet complete strangers and people that come at the problems from different directions, have different perspectives, different ideas, but you all come because you love Memphis and you want to work together for the betterment of Memphis. So I can't strongly encourage you enough to soak up every minute of it. And Jada, I'm looking to you, my friend. You're representing the best district in Memphis. And also shout out to Brianna Massey. Your mom is Joanne Massey. She is great. We enjoy working with her. But to the Youth City
extremely
Council,
happy.
To the Youth City Council, congratulations. Thank you for your service. That being done, we're going to move on. Madam Comptroller, call item 2.
Item number 2 is presentation of the winner of the Celebrating Black History Student Speech Competition. This presentation is sponsored by Councilman Smiley.
Councilman Smiley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this past weekend, I had the opportunity to host the Celebrating Black History Speech Competition. We had students from all over apply, submit their information. Ultimately, our team selected, 6 finalists, and the 3 ultimate third, second, and first place winners. Jalen Hampton from St. Agnes finished 3rd. Zora Cunningham from Houston High School finished 2nd. And Miss Micaiah Brown from Hutchinson finished 1st. She's with us today. Also want to be sure to acknowledge Mr. Nathan from the best district, Super District 8, Position 1, Memphis City Council, Youth Council, for serving as the MC. Councilman Jones was also in attendance. The judges had a very hard time. The judges were Miss Erica Williams from Fraser Community Schools, Sharice Robertson from Snowden, and Mr. Corbin Carpenter from the Carpenter Law Firm. With that, the first place winner, Ms. Brown, received $700, some love from the City Council from Trinkets, and also a certificate from the City Council as well. And also, the best part of it was getting to take a picture with the chair of the Memphis City Council, Frank Corvette. So, and I'm just extremely proud of all the young people. Each finalist received $50. Man, I was blown away by it. I told the young people that there was no way anyone that could have paid me, told me to speak in front of anybody at their age. No way possible. I think I just, within the last 5-6 years, got comfortable talking in front of anybody. So no way at their age I'm speaking in front of anyone. But we have the winner with us today, Miss Micaiah Brown. She's gonna impress us with her words. So I want to stop talking so y'all can hear how phenomenal this young lady is. So Meredith, could you get Miss Brown mic'd up, ready to roll so she can blow us away? And then I can say, yeah, that's the winner.
Everyone. I'm so very excited to be here. I was also very excited to hear the youth council members. I know several of them, so I am so excited to be here. The title of this poem is called For. She's so Black, and unfortunately, she's gonna have to make up for it in smarts because looks is where she lacks. No. For every stretch mark, for every comment about being too dark, for all the animals on Noah's Ark. For every time I liked a guy that didn't know if he liked Black girls. Kids being kicked out of class because their hair is too wild. My mama said so sweet, so tender, so mild that she loves her dark child, my ebony eyes and my endless cries. For I know that being Black is it. Rhythm, but not the blues. They can be Black and white, they ain't gotta choose. But being Black is my prize. Black people on a mission, and we continue to rise. For every time Black boy walks down the street to feel defeat when he sees a white woman cross the street. For every melanated cell lost. For every line crossed. For every time I had to straighten my hair to please my white boss. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm at a loss of words because it touched me, that moved me. And I wasn't even able to judge in my own competition, but I believe the right person won. Amazing, Ms. Brown. I think I speak on behalf of the council that we're proud of you. Hope you keep excelling, keep pushing for the best. And we know your future has untapped, unlimited potential. Keep working hard. And shout out to your mom who's with you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for blessing us with that poem. Hey, mama. y'all have a good one.
Again, Micaiah, great job. Very, very proud of you. Again, seeing everybody come in I truly know that the sky is the limit in Memphis, Tennessee. So do great things, go to school, go to college, but come back to Memphis, okay?
Amen. To come back to Memphis part.
Come back to Memphis, come home. All right, colleagues, we're on a good roll today. Let's go to item 3. Madam Comptroller, call 3.
Item number 3 is a resolution approving a planned development located at 3897 and 3901 Spotswood Avenue, containing plus or minus 0.92 acres in the residential single-family district. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is PD 20-20.
Councilman Canale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, this item was not heard in committee and did not receive a recommendation. However, Administrator Whitehead is on the line to give a full presentation and answer any questions that you may have. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I move it to the floor. I just want to make before Meredith, is Mr. D'Agostino on the line as well?
Yes.
Okay. Administrator Whitehead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. This is a request for allowing uses in a particular zoning district that would not otherwise be allowed, which is why it's here before you. The property in question is on the south side of Spotswood, just west of Shotwell, and just southeast of the University of Memphis's athletic center. The zoning is R6, and the land use on the right-hand side, we indicate yellow uses as single family. So it's a predominantly single family part of town. These two images are probably most reflective of the request. The image on the right is what I will call phase 1 of the project. It went to the city council and was approved by the city council in 1990. The reason it required city council approval was for those back buildings. If you can see in the background, those are attached single family homes. They're 3 units within one structure. The image on the left shows the 2 houses. One is obscured by a tree that is immediately east of the phase 1. I'll call it phase 2. And the idea here would be to replace those 2 houses with 2 additional large homes that face Spotswood to marry those 4 that are already there in phase 1, and 6 townhouse units in the rear of the property. This site plan is the actual request that's before you and included in your resolution. What did Memphis 3.0 say about this? This is in an anchor neighborhood, primarily single unit. Single unit does include both detached single family homes and attached. So it squares with 3.0, but also the big test for 3.0 oftentimes is what are the adjacent land uses and zoning? And in this case, it's, again, if I'll scroll back for a second, it's a mirror image of the request, that phase 1 of the project. With that, Mr. Chairman, this went to the Land Use Control Board on February 11th. It was approved unanimously. It did not have opposition at the board, and I do not believe it has opposition before you this afternoon. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Administrator Whitehead. Mr. Chairman, there is no opposition on the line. If any colleagues have any questions for Mr. D'Agostino or Administrator Whitehead, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I see no numbers in the queue. Nobody waving at me seeking recognition. It's been moved by Councilman Canale, seconded by Councilman Warren. I assume you're ready to vote on item 3. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford, Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Corbett.
Aye. That item passes. Madam Comptroller. Or somebody seek recognition?
Board red. Yes.
Board is yes. That item
Thank
passes.
you.
Madam Comptroller, call item 4, please.
Item number 4 is an ordinance zoning the north side of East Holmes Street, approximately 923 feet east of the center line of Lamar Avenue, containing plus or minus 4.89 acres in the Conservation Agriculture District, up for third and final reading. This ordinance is sponsored by the Division of Planning and Development. The case number is Z20-11, ordinance number 5776.
Councilman Canale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Meredith, is David Couch or Cindy Reeves on the line?
Yes, sir. Cindy Reeves, SR Consulting, 5909 Shelby Oaks Drive, Suite 200.
Great. Mr. Chairman, we did not hear this in committee and we did not give it a recommendation, but Administrator Whitehead is on hand for a full presentation and questions. And with that, I move it to the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by Canale, seconded by Warren. Administrator Whitehead, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this time I'll introduce myself. Josh Whitehead, the administrator, zoning administrator for the Division of Planning and Development. Here we have a request to rezone 5 acres of property on the north side of Holmes, just east of Lamar. More specifically, to reclassify this 5 acres from the Conservation Agricultural District, which kind of serves as our default zoning for unincorporated Shelby County, to heavy industrial. Whereas this is in that stretch of homes between Lamar and the railroad that has kind of, if you're familiar with this area, it's kind of wiggled a lot in the last few years. It wiggled a first time as BNSF rebuilt their tracks, and now it's wiggled some more because TDOT on the other side of the property is constructing a overpass. If you're familiar, Lamar will at some point in the near future become a hybrid freeway with interchanges at Holmes, Shelby, and Winchester. The zoning map on the left shows that the surrounding, this is kind of hard to read, I realize, but the zoning districts are indicated in red lettering with red lines as serving as the boundaries between those. And IH, which is the desired district, is abuts the subject property on the north and south. So this would be consistent with the zoning of the area. The map on the right shows the land uses, and deep purple indicates heavy industrial. So the predominant land use of this area is certainly not conservation agriculture as it's zoned today, but heavy industrial, which is the desired zoning district. Here's some images that reflect some of the realignments of homes. With this most latest realignment, homes will become a wider street, at least through this stretch. Here's a map or a plot plan of the requested zoning. And finally, Mr. Chairman, when we look at requests for rezonings, as we do for other matters, we square it with the long-range vision for the city, the Memphis 3.0 plan. And this area is highlighted in gray, which is our transportation and logistics facilities future land use, which is certainly squares with a industrial zoning district. With that, Mr. Chairman, this went to the Land Use Control Board in January 14th, and received unanimous approval. It had no opposition at the board meeting, nor do I believe does it now. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Administrator Whitehead. Mr. Chairman, there is no opposition to this case. However, Administrator Whitehead and Ms. Reeves are on the line should colleagues have any questions. that, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. I see no councilman in the queue. Nobody seeking a recognition. Moved by Canali, seconded by Warren. I assume you're ready to vote on item 4. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Aye.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, item passes. Okay, just a heads up, Madam Comptroller, I'm gonna call the consent agenda, but then I'm on, just a heads up, I'm going to item 17 after that, just so that I'm not jumping around and losing everybody. Madam Comptroller,
Thank you,
call the
Mr. Chairman. Item number 5, one item on our consent agenda is a resolution approving the final plat for Allentown Manufactured Home Village. Allentown South Plan Development Phase 2, 06-322. The contract number is CR-5360.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion in a second?
Move it, Carlisle.
Second.
All right, moved by Councilman Carlisle, seconded by Councilman Canali. I see no members in the queue. Assuming ready to vote on our our consent agenda. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, before we go to item 17, just heads up, I'm going to 21 after that. Madam Comptroller, call item 17.
Item number 17 is an ordinance to amend City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 5, Animals and Fowl, to create Article 5 to restrict the retail sale of dogs and cats at pet stores. Up for third and final reading, ordinance number 5777 is sponsored by Councilman Morgan, Councilman Warren, and the administration.
Thank you very much. Council Lady Easter Thomas, you're recognized. She's in the middle of ACTs. Can I go ahead and just get a, oh, there you are, please.
Thank you, Chair. I believe, and correct me if I'm mistaken, but from earlier that we had a amended item that was added to it, or did we not bring that down?
Council Lady, I believe we sent this to full council with no recommendation, and I'm expecting an amendment to be offered. I see Councilman Jones is already in the queue. I tell you what, would you move it and I'll get a second, because I'd like to give both sides some time to present if they wish to.
That works very well. Motion this, brought it down with no recommendation.
I second.
I got a second from Carlisle, moved by Easter Thomas. Mr. Gun, I call you Michael, I'm sorry. Are you representing Petland on this?
Yes, sir. But we also have Mike and Peggy Davis on the line here on the chat, and I'll defer to him first, if you'll allow me to.
Okay, before we get there, all right, so I got 3 people there. Who will be speaking in opposition? Director Pugh, I see you. Would you like to speak in opposition?
Yes, sir. Well, I would actually be speaking in favor of the ordinance amendment. So I got confused there. I apologize for not speaking up, but I'll certainly defer to the folks who've already recognized Mr. Davis to go first.
All right, and I apologize, colleagues. Director Pugh is speaking in favor of the ordinance. All right, let's do this. Since I have three folks, why don't we go 10 minutes per side? I'll recognize Petland, however y'all want to do it and divide up your time. Then I'll recognize Director Pugh and anyone who wishes to be in non-council members who are in support of this. I would suggest you keep some time for rebuttal potentially. I'll recognize only one rebuttal per side if you have the time. Ground rules being laid. Michael, and also I'm going to need your name and address for the record. Who will be going first?
Okay, that'll be me, Mr. Chairman, Michael Davis, 950 Grand Canal Street, Pensacola, Florida. And thank you all the council members for hearing us today. I will have two people supporting me, Kyla Davis and Mike Ganadakis. And our goal here today is to be 100% transparent with all of our information, and all the questions you have, we'll give you great answers. And hopefully we can continue this debate about who loves puppies and animals the most. But the real litmus test for us is when we open the Memphis store, the Memphians themselves will determine how that operation goes, if it's ethical, if it's price gouging, if it violates any lending laws, which I totally reject from the previous speaker in the earlier meetings. But one of the things I did when I was growing up with my kids, I always told them with the internet world coming up, you need to learn as much as you can. You need to get on the internet, but not everything you read is true. You must research and do the work. And I really feel that at Petland, we run a really strong, solid business. We've explained to each and every council member when we took the time to meet with each and every one of you to understand your concerns, but also to show you how we operated a A+ Better Business Bureau business and Pet Store of the Year 3-4 years in a row now in Pensacola. The community really accepts our business. But the litmus test will be after we're open and the years of business that we see. We have 25 years in Pensacola, 20 years in Fort Walton. So it's a very steady, solid business that's reputable. And the Davis family, which is a family-owned business, we love animals. Sometimes the city council business, we don't know that business. So it gets a little personal to us when we were told we don't love animals. So I apologize if we ever come across that way. But I just want to make it clear to everyone, just because somebody says we buy from puppy mills does not make that true. We can prove that we don't buy from puppy mills. Be happy to show you, be happy to prove it to you. And we do not compete with the Memphis Animal Shelter in their goals to adopt puppies. We can actually help them adopt puppies and dogs if they allow us to. In Pensacola and Fort Walton, we have over 500,000 people come through our store. I promise you there's not 500,000 people go to the animal shelter. We can push and adopt dogs as partners with Memphis Animal Shelter. But all of you guys have heard from me in the second reading and in private meetings. I would like to yield the rest of my time over to Kyla Davis, who is an employee in my store. Kyla?
Hi, my name is Kyla Davis. My name is Kyla Davis. My address is 1954 Warley Lane, Cordova, Tennessee. I work at Petland Store in Memphis, Tennessee at Wolf Chase Common Shopping Center. I was thrilled to learn that Petland was coming to Memphis, and I was overjoyed that I got a call that I had been hired. I have had a deep love for animals since childhood and spent many years with all types of pets in my home. I realized early on that I wanted to have a career working with animals. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. And when I got the news that I was hired at Petland, this was a stepping stone toward my goal. The management team has taught me so much about caring for animals in this store so that I would never so that I would have never have been exposed to, and solidified to me that I am on the right career path. I am now trained to be able to understand how to care for all types of animals, and I'm able to pass along that information to people who would like to purchase these animals. It is my understanding that if this ordinance is passed, Petland will likely not survive, and I ask you to think about all the lives that would be impacted. I'm a college student. I go to Tennessee State University. My major is animal science, pre-veterinary. And I would also like you to think about my coworkers with families and bills of their own. I finally have a steady income from Petland, and I hope that that is not at risk for being taken away. Thank you.
Jordan, hats off, my friend. You did fine. Just a heads up, you got 5 minutes left, and I've stopped your clock. Michael, would you like to recognize someone else?
Thank you, Council. Mr. Davis is on mute. Michael Ganadakis, 88 East Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215. In a previous session today, we heard from a gentleman who spoke a lot about our customers and our customers' experiences at Petland. And I want to assure all members of council and the public that's participating in your council meeting tonight that when a customer purchases a pet from Petland, whether it be a puppy, a rabbit, or whatever the case may be, a bird, they have multiple ways to pay for their pet. They can pay cash. They can pay with a check, their own credit card. Maybe they have a Visa card that they want to use to get miles for their flights or for a hotel. Some customers want to use a Petland credit card, no different than if they go to Best Buy to buy something, Home Depot to buy something, Walmart, so on and so forth, any retail establishment. And I can tell you, just like Home Depot, Best Buy, Walmart, anywhere else, there's state and federal laws, rules, and regulations that you cannot charge. I think the term that was used earlier was predatory lending. You have local regulations about that as well. So Petland never has, nor have they today, done anything other than what the current law says we should be doing as it relates to consumer financing. And it's something that is offered to our customers. We have interest-free financing. Most of our customers pay off, if they use our credit card, that is, pay off early. A gentleman said earlier that 80% of our customers use the Petland credit card. Well, Mr. Davis is here, and he can tell you, attest that only 42% of his customers at Fort Walton, Pensacola, use the Petland credit card, and half of that 42% pay it off early within the first 8 to 10 months of their purchase. So our consumers are smart, and they know what they're doing, and we give them credit, and we abide by all the laws, both local, state, and federal. If we didn't, the Tennessee Attorney General would be knocking at our door, federal regulators will be knocking at our door, and they just simply are not doing that. So, we're grateful for the opportunity to be in Memphis. You heard from one of our employees, many more. I know our time's limited, that could stand before you and talk about their same great experiences they have now at the Memphis store and building a career for themselves and providing for their families. So we look forward to being a fabric of the community, working with your animal shelter, and always being there to be a great corporate citizen.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll take questions if there are any.
Tell you what, let's do. I've stopped your time. You have 3 minutes left. I'll go to council members after both sides are presented. But you have 3 minutes for potential rebuttal or time as you see fit. That concludes Petland. Now we'll go to Director Pugh. I'm starting your time over, but can I get your name and address for the record?
Sure. And is it possible to share my screen?
Brooke, can you give her presenter rights? I believe you have it now.
Yes, sir. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. My name is Alexis Pugh, Director, Memphis Animal Services. My address is 751 Center Drive, Memphis, Tennessee. First off, let me thank you for this opportunity to speak. I have some real concerns about retail pet sales in Memphis, and I share those concerns with what most people would consider to be the leading animal welfare agencies in our country, the Humane Society of the United States, the ASPCA, Best Friends. They've all publicly expressed that they are against retail pet sales, and thousands upon thousands of Memphians share these concerns as well. I want to hit on 3 key points here today. I'm going to talk to you about pets, I'm going to talk to you about people, and I'm going to talk to you about progress. Let's start with pets. Oh, I need to advance my screen. I apologize. I'm not sure how to advance my screen. Oh, there we go. There we go. So what I'd like to talk about first with pets, it is something that keeps getting said over and over again that pet stores don't source from puppy mills. Pet stores only source from puppy mills. No one outside of the puppy mill pipeline that makes money off the backs of puppy mill puppies say that pet stores don't sell from puppy mills. It is undisputed. The data and the facts are there. And what we keep hearing is this point about USDA licensed breeders. USDA licensed breeders. Well, look in front of you. Does this look okay to you? Look at the graphic you see there, which shows a dog can be in compliance under USDA standards and only have 6 inches around it to live in its entire life. This is what these breeding mothers deal with. This is what people are seeing when they go and raid these. And I just saw a comment from Councilman Smiley. What's a definition of a puppy mill? This is a definition of a puppy mill. A puppy mill is a place that ignores the welfare and care of an animal for profit. And it does not provide basic humane care. That care may meet the standards of the USDA, but it wouldn't pass the standards of our ordinance laws and a $50 fine here in the city of Memphis. Our cruelty laws are tougher than what the USDA requires. Please know that responsible breeders, and we understand for folks who don't want to adopt, we understand there are people who are looking for specific things from breeders. Responsible breeders do not sell to pet stores. Most of them have in their code of ethics that members will never sell to brokers who provide pets for retail sale. And I would like to say that I wish the research showed that Mike and Peggy Davis sitting before you today were the exceptions to that. That they don't buy from brokers and breeders with troubled history, but the data is there and shows that they do. They have bought puppies from breeders after violations were identified, and they even continued to buy from a breeder after that person was found selling puppies with a highly contagious antibiotic-resistant bacteria that is zoonotic, meaning it infects people too. It was so serious, the CDC had to get involved. More than 100 people across 18 states were so sick they had to be hospitalized, and it traced right back to sick puppies from Petland. So this is the type of puppy that we can expect in Memphis because Mike and Peggy Davis continued to purchase from them even after these situations occurred. Now I'd like to go on to people. So in addition to potentially getting sick, the real cost is people who fall victim to this predatory sales and lending model. I want to picture yourself walking in with your child to this store, and maybe Jordan, a lovely woman, helps you. She's going to show you a puppy and you fall in love. But guess what? There's no price posted anywhere. And Jordan's been trained to tell you that you can walk out today with that puppy with no cost down. Well, guess what? The fine print is tough for people to navigate. It's tough for a lot of our citizens to understand, and they will be sucked into it. They will be caught in the kinds of lending agreements that start at 30% and go up to 180% in many cases. So what I show you on the screen right now is one example of a current lawsuit that's going against Petland. Someone bought a puppy for $3,500. 5 years of interest later, they were in for $26,655. And that's the best case scenario. That's if their puppy survives or doesn't result in thousands of dollars of medical bills, which we've seen happen over and over and over again. There are lawsuits pending around the country. And right now, the Florida Attorney General has an open investigation against One Petland in Orlando. This is something that's happening at the state, the local, and the federal level. How else are potential buyers being misled? Well, I'd like to show you this right here. The puppy on the left is listed for sale in Memphis. Puppy on the right, the exact same puppy, is listed as already sold in Pensacola. So which is it? Is this puppy still for sale? I mean, I would call this a bait and switch, and I would imagine consumer advocates would as well. Does this puppy actually sit in a Memphis kennel, a Pensacola kennel, or is it even available or already sold? There are too many questions that are surfacing when we look at their website, when we look at their data, that make me wonder how we can trust anything that they're saying today. Our citizens are already facing food and job insecurity, struggling to educate their children virtually, and they just spent a week boiling their water to drink. Bringing retail pet sales here will result in people being further victimized, people who are already at risk, people who need protection from this esteemed council. And I think that this is an important way that you can protect them. Finally, I want to touch on progress. We have a city that has come so far in regards to animal welfare. Anyone who's been around for a while knows what it used to be like. MAS was not a place that this city was proud of, but we've come so far together. The key is our progress and our work isn't done. We have a ton of work still to do. It is a grind. And I want to give you just 1 week snapshot example. Last week, we took in 346 animals, including 61 puppies. The 4 adorable puppies you see on your screen right now all came to Memphis Animal Services last week and were available for adoption. So this is a situation where we have enough puppies. We don't need more puppies coming here. And in addition, we're doing constant transports out of the city. We're trying, begging, borrowing, pleading to get animals on transports out of this community. But when you look at import history for Petland stores in Pensacola, you can actually see that they averaged in 2019 pre-COVID, looking at their import data, 260 pets brought in per week. We beg, borrow, and plead to get 125 out per month. So you can see the imbalance that is created here. We just can't be adding more and more pets to our community when we're trying to reduce our animal overpopulation problem. Another argument that was made by the Davises is that the puppies will not affect our shelter. Well, I would like to say one important thing about that. Based on their microchipping structure, there's no way that they can validate that. These microchips are transferred to the pet owner's name, and they wouldn't trace back to Petland if a shelter did receive that pet. So I think it's important to say that we don't know at this point what we don't know. And we don't know how many Petland puppies do end up in shelters. So this could end up being another taxpayer burden. I want to close by saying that this is not specific against Petland. I know I brought up Petland a lot today only because they made so many claims throughout this process that I felt were important to negate. But I want to say very clearly, we want you to come here, Petland. Jordan, we want you to have the job that you have and all of your wonderful coworkers. We want people invested in animal welfare a part of this. But this can happen without retail pet sales. It absolutely can work. And in fact, research has shown that it can work at a higher revenue per square foot price point than people who sell pets or puppies and kittens in their store. It is a workable business model, and we welcome you to come here. But as Mr. Davis has said multiple times, he is originally from Memphis. He is a pet lover. So I ask you today, Mr. Davis, you love Memphis, you love pets, and we just want you to respect the very people who would end up being your customers here, the city's animal welfare community, who are telling us over and over, who have reached out to every council member who's in attendance here today and said, this is not something we want in Memphis. We do not want this here. And I'm going to ask you personally, as the director of animal services for this city, please protect our city from being a part of the puppy mill pipeline and say no to this. Thank you very much for your time.
Chairman, may I respond to that?
Hang on 1 second. Just Director Pugh, you have 1 minute remaining. Petland, you have 3 minutes if you wish rebuttal.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Director Pugh. I'm sorry the situation puts us in personal attacks, but the credibility of the presentation with the first picture, of course, everybody thinks that's offensive with how those dogs are, but that does not represent anything near where I buy my puppies. If you were to go to one of my breeders and take a picture, totally acceptable. And I would always invite any member of the city council to take that trip with me, paid or unpaid. We have nothing to hide. And again, pictures can be gotten anywhere. And all I ask you to do is look at the merits of what we do and how we present it in the facts, not something pulled down from the internet that represents nothing that we do. Thank you.
And I'm Elizabeth Kunzelman. I'm with Petland. I reside in Chillicothe, Ohio, and I want to address some of the comments about USDA. There are minimum requirements, but I can tell you in the hundreds of breeder trips that we've been on, we have never seen a kennel that was created that size. It has, most of the breeders go above and beyond. We don't have double stacks. They don't even manufacture those double stacked kennels anymore. We follow all federal, state, and local laws. A lot of the breeders that Mike and Peggy buy from are out of Missouri and Ohio, which have tougher state laws than USDA does. So there's no wire flooring, there's turnout yards, there's multiple surfaces for their feet, there's socialization, there's exercise. What's being portrayed is not accurate. As far as Campy is concerned, we complied with CDC right from the beginning. They did not have any further recommendations except for us to continue our sanitation protocols, which we've done. We haven't heard anything from them in over a year. And finally, the financing, $26,000, that's not correct. That was through Lending USA. We spoke with them directly, and the total cost through the financing was under $7,000. So there was a lot of misinformation. I wish I could address it all, but those are a few quick points.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth, can I get your home address, please, for the record?
Absolutely. It's 237 Church Street, Chillicothe, Ohio.
Thank you very much. You guys have 55 seconds. Would y'all like to just forego, or we'll go into discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to use all my time. And to all the city council people, we presented ourselves as good business people, and I am a Memphian. And we did a lot of research in Memphis before we chose to come to the city. We just don't choose to be loud. We just don't choose to fill up your email in baskets. I could go to change.org and get my own 10,000 signatures, but it's better just to run the business and be a good corporate partner, and that's what we've committed to do. I also put an answer to the puppy milk question in the chat. I do believe in my heart that is the right answer. But we're always willing to work with HSUS and ASPCA to define that definition. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Petland is done.
4 seconds left. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
All right. One other thing, just to our friends. The chat box is for council members only. We've run into this before. It's the same. No, it's okay, Mr. Davis. Now you know. It's the same as somebody saying something to council and then going out into the crowd and hollering at us. So leave the chat box to us going forward, if that's okay. If you wish to be recognized, seek a council member to do so. Director Pugh, I believe you had 1 minute left. Do you wish a rebuttal?
Yes, sir. I would just like to make the point that I recognize that Mr. Davis made the point that the photographs shown were not reflective of where he purchases puppies from. The purpose of the photograph was to exhibit what meets USDA licensing standards, to explain that. If you would like to know specifically more about where Mr. Davis purchases from, you can reference the document that I sent to each council member, which lists various breeders with documented violations and health certificates, health inspection certificates that are required for interstate transport were the source of that. So these are public records requests, publicly accessible documents, and verifiable documents that show that supply chain and that some of those locations do in fact have violations. So I'm not relying on photographs pulled from the internet. I'm relying on data and public records and government documents for that information.
4.12 seconds left. All right. That concludes our two presentations. I'll go at this point into my queue. I believe Councilman Jones is first, followed by Smiley and Swearingen. So Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleagues, all too often we are presented with a unilateral choice to vote something up or to vote something down. In this particular case, and because we've only had 1 week's time between last meeting and this meeting, I would ask that we hold it, because it is my intent to provide us a substitute to do so. And we make a choice between the two, as I talked about at the last meeting, was one where we have a stringent permitting process. And, it can be one where we offer, of course, everybody's offered due process, but we can have it as soon as they have that violation, we can yank that permit. So I would just hope that we would hold this particular item. We have two before us, and then we as a council make a decision which one we think is best for our community.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to hold and a second by Smiley. Let me write that down. Jones, Smiley. All right, I still have, well, Councilman Smiley in the queue. Do you wish to speak to the hold?
Not to the whole. I just had questions for both parties. I took a lot of notes all over the place.
All right. Council Lady Swearingen, do you wish to speak to the hold?
No, I only had questions.
Okay. I have a motion to hold, please.
Mr. Chair, I'm in the queue.
So, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sir, I did not. Mr. Morgan, would you like to speak to the hold?
Yes, just more questions for Councilman Jones about the intended purpose or just the general content of the secondary ordinance that he intends to propose.
What's your particular question, Ms. Morgan?
What is it?
The ordinance.
Well, it is not finalized. I received some draft language from what has taken place in other places. But what I'm asking here is for us to have both in front of us. It's not prepared yet. And so before we adopt one, I don't think we should without knowing what the other one is going to look like.
So part of the frustration is, we had this in committee, then we had 2 weeks first reading, 2 weeks second reading, and yes, we had 1 week between second and third reading, but it's still been a pretty drawn out process. And I've heard from a number of our colleagues, Mr. Jones, that they're tired of the emails, that they want to get back to the business of the people and talking about, citizens of Memphis and not necessarily dogs of Memphis and potential predatory lending and this and that. So I hear my colleagues, and I would urge the council that we could come to a good decision today, which would be a vote in favor. Can you explain a little bit of what is the gist of this? Obviously, this is language that's been sent to you, but not shared with other council members.
Well, Mr. Morgan, I would contend that this was before this original ordinance came before us, it wasn't shared with the council members as well. So I'm just asking that we give this what would be potentially a substitute ordinance, the same deference that has been provided here. We all too often we're being asked to make one decision based upon something that's been presented. All I'm asking for here is we can make a choice and we may go back to this original one because it may not be the will of the council. I'm just asking us to have some consideration to look at one based upon a permitting process. This one is not permissive at all. It just strictly prohibits. I'm just saying we should be provided a choice of whether we want to strictly regulate it or just arbitrarily ban it. And I think that what this one does, it just bans it. I can come up with a business plan tomorrow and say that I want to sell pets. But what this will do, this would preclude me as well as any other operator from doing so, even if we are good operators.
Okay, I see other members jump in the queue, so I'll yield back for a moment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. Councilman Smiley, you have a question?
Yeah, so, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to best address this. My first question is to the chair. I would love the opportunity to ask both sides a couple of questions. So while Councilman Jones and while the individuals who sponsored the current ordinance, I guess, fine-tuning things, it better help me think through, where I'm going to come on this particular issue. So that's a question for you. And then I think that question will allow me to, better understand how I want to go forward. I'm not sure if that's permissible since we are, I guess, voting on the whole.
Well, okay, guys, we can do this. In order to ask more questions, maybe, because I feel like maybe some folks want more answers from both sides. Why don't we do this? Councilman Jones, please withdraw your motion to hold so I go back to the original motion and have further debate and conversation. Is that okay with you? You're muted.
Yes, but if at the conclusion of these, I still would like to perhaps re-offer the motion to hold.
I safely assume you will, but do me the kind favor of making absolutely sure I don't move on. All right, so I got that. I'll go back to Councilman Smiley. You're in the queue. We're back to the main motion. Where we're on the main motion.
All right. Okay. So I think originally during the committee, I proposed some language, and I just want I guess to formally introduce it again and have both parties take a look at the language, and maybe we can come up with some resolution. So I guess I'll state it again. And basically the gist of it is changing the definition of what a pet store is and what's exempt. And I think the pertinent part of it as it relates to the pet store definition, it says, such definition shall not include an animal care facility, animal rescue organization, or a breeder who sells dogs and cats from the premise where the dogs and cats were bred and reared. So I think the gist of it is if you are a local breeder, let's say Petland, because sorry, Councilwoman Robinson, you told us not to mention names specifically. Let's say Big Pet Store wants to sell animals. Big Pet Store can no longer buy animals from this large industrialized company. However, Big Pet Store can say, you know what, we're going to open up a kennel in Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to breed our dogs on local ground. And we're also going to sell dogs directly from that ground. So that way, what you won't have is the dogs being transported to and from over 1,000 miles. Dogs less likely to get whatever disease or infection they may get, being transported. And dogs are less likely to be harbored for long periods of time because we have local breeders and, they sell them. So that's just some potential language for us to consider. I do think that gets us closer to where we want to be. Also, so language to consider. All right, then I also have some questions.
Tell you what, Councilman Crowley, before we get to that, you're offering a friendly amendment, and I heard Councilman Morgan, committee was okay with that?
Yeah, if it was the same language that was written in the
same language.
chat box.
I took a picture of what I was typing and was trying to read it.
Well, Councilman Warren is a co-maker of the original. You okay with that?
Yes, that was okay before also.
Is there any objection to the friendly amendment?
Yes.
What is please state your objection.
Okay, my objection is, and I just Googled AKC recognized breeds. So there are 197 recognized breeds. We're not even talking about what would be a Labradoodle. So I think that it would be impractical for any business to, even if they were to look at AKC recognized breeds, we're not talking about the United Kennel Club, which is another breed registry. So in order to say that the only way that they can operate business is that they're going to have a local breeder, you look at some what is it, Tibetan Mastiff, a very rare dog. So to have a central location, if I wanted to buy one, I either may have to go to California, wherever that breed may exist. So I think that while I understand the spirit of compromise for this, but to say that any type of establishment, the only way that they would be able to offer that breed here locally, since we're talking about this particular issue, would be that they would have to sort of operate it themselves. I don't think that's I think that's an undue burden that we'd be putting on any type of business to do so.
Councilman Smiley, your response to that?
I hate when I talk to myself. At some point, I'm going to remember to always cut it off mute. I understand where he's coming from, and I do appreciate the pushback. But I think the ultimate goal here is to limit or prevent those individuals who decides to purchase from those. I'm not going to use puppy mills because I haven't really wrapped my head around the definition or determine whether there is a definition. But what I will say is that when we buy or when entities buy from large industrialized companies, just from the general research I've done, that there may be some type of standards that I wouldn't be willing to keep my dog in. that's that's what I would say with that. You know, this is me attempting to compromise and get to a point where we're all okay with, you know, doing what we think is right. So that was my amendment, but I do really want to get into my questions. I'm not, you know,
Then hold on offering me the amendment. Go to your questions. We'll get your amendment later.
Because this is what I really want to talk about. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, so I guess I think there's a question, several different questions from both sides. I'm gonna try to get through them pretty quickly. I guess it's a general statement. I'm not really buying that all citizens in Memphis are against entities like Petland. If I can be very honest and frank, and I think my council members know I don't really know how to be any other way. A lot of folks in my district don't have a position on this. So I think it's not necessarily true to say that, you know, it's this way or the highway. Folks in Super District 8, they're more concerned with, you know, MLGW's infrastructure, COVID vaccine distribution, or the lack thereof, as opposed to puppy mills. I do think it's unfair to the people in the city of Memphis to spend so much time on the ordinance for dealing with the sale of pets and dogs. So I kind of agree with Councilman Morgan on that issue. So I just want to make that general statement. But for Mr. and Mrs. Davis, I got your last names correct, hopefully, or someone that's with them. And just be honest, would Petland go broke? Would the Davises go broke if this body decides to adopt this ordinance? Because I'm not really sold on the fact that they would go broke. Anybody?
Mike Davis.
Is that a question? Is that a question for me, Council?
Yes, sir. There was a question. So would Petland be bankrupt if you all weren't able to sell dogs and cats? Because there's several pet stores in the city of Memphis that have successfully opened. I'm not really sold on that you're going to go broke.
I'll be brief with my answer. Our business model is 70% of our revenue comes from the sale of animals, not just puppies, but other animals, mammals, reptiles, birds. So that's the type of store. We don't really compete with Petco, PetSmart, PetSense, Supermarket. That's not our model. In the past 19 and a half months, I've invested in getting the store operational. I've got just slightly less than $1 million invested. So when you ask me if I go bankrupt, I don't have $1 million. I would owe the bank $1 million, and I would have an empty space in Memphis that I would owe my lease for 10 years. Because I've followed every rule that Memphis has given me until 3 or 4 weeks ago when this protest started and came out of nowhere. Every inspection, every request for permits, I've done everything by the law of Memphis.
All right. Another quick question for you. If the language of pet sales were amended based on the language I proposed, would you be able to comply with that type of model, or is something that's not feasible for you?
That's a hard question, Councilman, because in Tennessee, there are no USDA regulated breeders. There's none in the Memphis area. So when the opposition talks about puppy mills, that's closer to the definition of puppy mills versus a USDA regulated. So do you want some regulation? You might not like them, but at least there are some. But the ones that are regulated not at all, how do you control that? So my agreement with Petland is I can only buy pets from USDA or hire regulated breeders. And I can supply pictures and videos of our breeders showing a totally different world than what you've seen visually. But we've just chosen not to fill up your in basket, but I'll be happy to provide you videos of my breeders.
Okay, thank you. And my last two questions, I guess they're similar. Director Pugh, have you had an opportunity to, it's not really our wheelhouse, and I'm not really sure you're going to say yes, but I'm going to ask anyway. Have you had an opportunity to physically go take a look? Have you had an opportunity? I didn't finish this. Have you had an opportunity to physically go take a look at the, I guess, the couple of places in which the Davises purchased their animals? Because Mr. Davis has been said several times to this body, are we willing to take a trip? So I would love to see, you know, someone from the city staff, if we really care so much about this ordinance or putting a ban in place, because essentially what it is a ban unless we change the language. Ban in place, would someone be willing to go take a look, lay eyes on it, and report back to us?
Sure. So to answer your question, no, that offer was not made to me, nor was a list of breeders they work with provided to me by the Davises. I understand that maybe somebody provided to other council folks, but not me. So my information is coming from the national animal welfare agencies that have done these on-site investigations, that spend their entire working lives doing just that. And they put together reports and gave me the information about the conditions that they witnessed. So I relied on the experts in the field, the Humane Society of the United States, et cetera, et cetera. Certainly, if you want me to fly all over the country inspecting, puppy mills, I can do that. I don't think that's the best use of my time. My time should be spent here helping the citizens of Memphis who are struggling to feed their pets, that we're feeding their pets, we're helping with medical care, spay and neuter, et cetera. But I mean, I'm relying on the word of the experts in the industry and the word of the experts who are doing these inspections at the national level. The most highly respected and recognized animal welfare agencies are telling me what they're seeing at these places where these purchases are being made. And if you don't mind, Councilman Smiley, I'd like to make just one circle back comment to a reference to my point before about the fact that everyone in Memphis is against this. I wholeheartedly agree with you that that is not the case. What I am saying is that the people outside of Memphis want us to defeat this ordinance. The people inside of Memphis who are speaking up want this ordinance to pass. But I fully agree with you that the vast majority of Memphians don't have a vested interest in this at all. They don't care because they had to boil water last week. They're too busy worrying about their own lives and how they're going to put food on the table for their children to care about this. I agree with that. I want to put this to rest so that we can move on back to how things were before and get back to fixing all the other myriad of problems this city has. And we don't need to add retail pet sales to the list of things that affect our already disenfranchised citizens.
Thank you, Director Pugh. Mr. and Mrs. Davis, how many facilities do you all buy from? I think you provided a list. Is it more than 3?
For the most part, it's 3. Every now and then we might pick up a specialty like the NEO that Councilman Jones mentioned earlier, but all the same criteria are met. And they're all in the same area of the country, either Southern Indiana or Southern Missouri for us.
Okay. Thank you. To all my colleagues and to the administration, take a look at the chat, and with that, I yield.
Thank you, Councilman Smiley. Council Lady Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, so much. When I requested to speak originally, it was mainly to support a delay because I too believe that there's a lot of more additional information we need. And for those who don't see a need for a delay, I find it interesting because it seems like everything that comes before this council comes up a delay. I mean, from lobbying issues to pipeline issues to zoning issues. So to request it again to help one company and to help the overall image of the city of Memphis in regards to how you treat potential future business people coming into the city, I don't think that's too much to ask for. We have all type of issues here in Memphis, down to too much trash in the streets that we hear about every day. So we're just going to have to take our time, one at a time, one issue at a time, and address it. But I did have a couple of questions. It was stated that the Davises were involved in a lawsuit dealing with puppy mills causing illness nationwide. Would they like to address that? Just tell me if that's actual. What was that lawsuit about?
I would love to address that. And I do apologize to some of these pointed questions because they only require pointed answers. That's just outright not true. Don't know where the information came from. Totally not true. I've never been sued. I've never even had a hard complaint that anybody had to get involved in. You don't get an A+ rating with BBB by people complaining about you all day. And I tried my best not to answer that question because it gets close to name calling. But that's the whole problem with this issue. It's emotional for both sides. I love animals. I'm sure Director Pugh loves animals, but not more than me. And just because the opposition has one thought and I have another doesn't give you the right to say untrue things.
Thank you. Now, prior to, in between our last meeting and the beginning of this meeting at 3:30, I received a phone call. And the individual shared with me that they had purchased a puppy from a breeder. Unfortunately, the puppy died. They went back to the breeder while the puppy was sick, and then going back to the veterinarian, the breeder disappeared. They then had to eventually go and purchase a puppy from a retail operation. They told me that they felt more safe and comfortable with the retail outlet because they had somebody that they can go back to, and if they had an issue, deal with that particular individual. And breeders just disappeared, in their opinion. So it's just odd that someone got my telephone number and called me supporting the retail outlet. So I do know some people in Memphis are in support of retail outlets. Thank you, Chairman, for that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. If you don't mind, Chair, I was going to say Vice Chairwoman Swearingen was in the queue before I was, and I believe she passed because there was a motion on the table. So if you wouldn't mind recognizing her first, then I'll go after her.
Profuse apologies, Vice Chair Lady, you're recognized.
Thank you very kindly. My initial question was that of Councilwoman Johnson about pending litigations. There was an accusation that he had some, and he has shared that he is totally unknowledgeable of it. Director Pugh, you're concerned about some non-disclosures that the public often don't understand that are on the final print of the paperwork during the adoption. Could you please expound on that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And as a point of clarity, if you go back to what I said, at no time did I indicate that Mr. Davis had an active lawsuit against him. I said that Petland, corporate, Petland, other locations has multiple lawsuits that have been filed at the federal, state, and local level around the country. At no time did I indicate that Mr. Davis personally was the subject of one of those pieces of litigation, just as a point of clarity there.
Are they still pending?
Yes, ma'am. Just not in particular Mr. Davis.
Gotcha. Are you aware of that, Mr. Davis?
I am not, but Elizabeth Kozelman, who's on the phone, is our corporate person that is in charge of that very topic. Can answer that question.
Certainly, I'm here. I'm Elizabeth Kunzelman, and I can say that we have, sure, there's lawsuits that have been filed against us. Anybody can file a lawsuit. We have actively defeated any lawsuit accusing us of inaccurate purchasing from puppy mills, from any kind of accusation. What is pending now is still pending. One of them, which is the Attorney General in Florida. Our franchisees there, again, it's independently owned and operated, and they have followed the letter of the law from the warranty for the state. Mike and Peggy are independently owned operators, have never had a lawsuit filed against them. The ones that we have pending, we can't really comment on, but we are confident in the outcomes, as all previous ones that similar in nature have been dismissed.
So let me ask you this. So if the lawsuits are not towards the Davises themselves, they are towards Petland?
There's a lawsuit that's specifically against a franchisee. And that's the only one that I'm aware of right now. A specific franchisee, not the Davises.
Okay. Is that what you were speaking of, Director Pugh?
Yes, ma'am. The Florida Attorney General filed the suit against Petland, Orlando, Waterford Lakes. And the allegations are that they misrepresent to consumers that the puppies are healthy, high quality animals and fit for sale, when in fact, in some instances, puppies have died soon after being purchased or suffered from congenital or other hereditary disorder. And that's sort of the summary statement of that. But I did want to answer your other question, Councilwoman or Vice Chair Swearingen, excuse me. So you talked about the fine print, and I would sort of equate it to when you make a purchase of a vehicle. You know how there's the back of that piece of paper that if you don't have your glasses on, you can't possibly read? It's the tiny little font print that goes over those lending agreements. And that's what we're talking about in these cases. And the real challenge here is that that's not necessarily coming from Petland. It's coming from the third-party lending company that they outsource you to. So a big one they use is, I believe it's called Lending USA. And that's where we see some of those rates that run from a 30% APR all the way up to, in some cases, 180% APR. And so when you talk about better business ratings and things like that, a lot of the complaints and violations are actually against the lending companies, not the Petland store themselves, because they're trying to recoup the money from the people to whom they owe the money, which is this third-party lending organization. So that's kind of what I was talking about is, you know, we get real excited on site. We're told we can leave today without putting any money down for this puppy. But there are just some consumers that are not, you know, educated or don't excel at understanding these lending models. And so they get sort of, yes, it's there. The writing is there. But is that particular customer able to navigate that difficult minutia on the back of that paper?
And there have been concerns about puppies being posted for sale that have already been sold in Pensacola. Are you aware of that?
Yes, and that was included in my presentation here today. There's a multitude of puppies that are listed on the Pensacola website as having already been sold that are in fact now listed as for sale here in Memphis. And so it leaves some questions in my mind about how that could be humanly possible, because it doesn't indicate anywhere on the website that this is an example of what the pet might look like. It says this puppy. So that would be a point of clarity that it lends some confusion, and I think further provides some lack of clarity for consumers.
I have to respond to that, Chairwoman. That's just not true, and I can't explain it. I give Director Pugh credit for finding that German Shepherd, but the explanation is that I had a delivery of puppies to Memphis that I diverted to Pensacola because of these proceedings, and they were in Pensacola. In our process, we automatically, by computer, it's a button, it automatically goes up to the website the minute they come in the door because we scan them. And on Friday of last week, I took those puppies and shipped them to Memphis. So then they were extracted from the computer in Pensacola, and now they are in Memphis. The same German Shepherd that you showed, I've already checked. Great investigative work, but it's a puppy that is physically in Memphis. And it did visit Pensacola, and you're welcome to go see it in the kennels in Memphis.
Where are the mothers of these puppies?
Just in general?
Yes.
And the breeder locations in Missouri and southern Indiana.
And my last question, if one has a complaint about a puppy that is adopted or sold to them, what's your procedure and where do they take their complaint?
Great question. So there's a reason why we don't get complaints, and that's because I think we're good business people. We don't piss off our customers. So in our business, the biggest risk we have is undercover HSUS and SPCA people coming in buying puppies and then causing problems. And a lot of the suits, that's where it comes from. So what we do in a Davis-owned pet store, if you buy a puppy from me and you take it home and you decide you don't want it, you bring it back, I give you a full refund. And I'll do that for 7 days. Now, after 7 days, the health certificates of Florida don't allow me to do that by the law because we don't know where the puppy's been, it could introduce disease, etc. But we also at our store have congenital defects that we have 3-year warranties. And in my store, I do puppy for a lifetime. So I'm sure nobody wants to talk about that but me, but if you buy a puppy from one of my stores, you get puppy for a lifetime as long as you take care of the puppy, you get the vitamins it needs and the food that it needs. And we have a computer system that tracks that. And your puppy dies for any reason, I replace it 100% for the same cost of that puppy. And one example, a gentleman bought a puppy, a Shih Tzu, inside house dog, lovely couple. And unfortunately, he was going somewhere and ran over the dog in his car. Very tragic. But we replaced that puppy. And that's how we operate our stores.
Is that an isolated incident that Councilwoman Johnson was just speaking of? She had a constituent to call that purchased a puppy and they were asked to go back to the breeder and couldn't locate the breeder and it was unresolved.
That didn't happen in my stores.
Mr. Davis, this is Mike Anadakis, if I may, and certainly if I misinterpreted what the councilwoman said, I stand corrected. But I think she was stating that she went to a breeder, not a retail store, to buy her first puppy and had that unfortunate interaction. And then she went to a retail center like Mr. Davis's store to buy her second and had a much better interaction. I think that's what she was saying. If I'm wrong, I sincerely apologize for that. I think that she was trying to clarify.
Those are sentiments, Councilwoman? Okay.
That is correct. That's correct.
My questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I think Council Lady has really set us on a good path of asking questions because we all know that there is a hold motion and an amendment coming. So if we could pepper these two groups with questions and keep it to questions, I would appreciate it. All right, we go to Councilman Carlisle. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Councilwoman Swearingen, thank you for those questions. Very, very good questions. I want to get a couple of, make sure that I have some clarity here. Mr. Davis, when we spoke, my understanding, what percentage of you said, I assumed, or maybe I misheard you, that 70% of your sales came from puppies, but what you're saying is 70% of your sales are animal related?
Yes, sir.
Of that percentage, of that, what are dogs? What percentage of your overall sales are dogs on average?
High 60s. I'd have to get I haven't sold in Memphis yet, so I can't give you a Memphis number. Did that answer your question, Councilman?
I'm having some technical issues here. Would you mind repeating that?
I haven't sold puppies yet in Memphis, so I don't have my Memphis numbers, but puppy sales in my other two stores are in the high 60%.
So 10% of your sales is other animals and 60% are puppies?
Around that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no one's holding you here to a tenth of a decimal.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so I guess my second question then goes back to, and again, these are just for the general public. 40 to 50 puppies are sold on average per month at a typical Petland location. I think you said you've got a little higher volume at Pensacola and or Fort Walton. You said maybe 50, 60.
Just to be clear, in Pensacola right now, we're averaging 73, and in Fort Walton, 54.
Thank you. All right.
I would expect
I'm looking around it. So it's fair to say that roughly 600 puppies come through, could come through a Petland location, yours or others. And so I guess there are specialty breeds that, there are one-offs. I think Councilman Jones brought up another one. And so are these three breeders able to provide all of those dogs? So that's 1,200 dogs a year, roughly anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200 a year come from those three breeders, save a 10% outlier factor. So call it 900 puppies from three breeders.
For the most part, they're breeders that have been in business for many, many, many years. That's how they can invest in the facilities that they have. But I don't carry in my stores the full specialty gambit. I only carry the top sellers. And
I hear you. I think what I'm saying, I'm sorry to cut you off. I think what I'm asking here though, and it sounds like that is like 900 dogs divided by 3 is 300 dogs a year out of one breeder. I mean, 35 years ago, my grandmother used to breed Cocker Spaniels. I think, maybe a year she'd have 10. And so to Councilman Smiley, when you talk about puppy mill, I think one component of the definition is high volume, and 300 dogs a year out of one facility is pretty high volume. It would be hard to show a lot of care and love to, although I'm sure they've got a lot of, I'm sure they've got a lot of employees and or potentially could have some standards like any business would operate. My other question would be is it disclosed to you if those breeders, if they can't meet their quota for you or your order, broker dogs? So go to a third party that you'd be unaware of if they couldn't meet an order for you.
No, I have some backup people, but I choose to do business with people that I know and trust. This is a sensitive business, and you have good operation being sensitive on both sides.
And look, I'll say this, from where I'm sitting, I have no doubt that Mike and his wife are phenomenal operators for Petland and that they care very deeply about their business. And I have no doubt that they are wonderful pet lovers. But it seems to me, again, this gets back down to high volume, the high volume breeding and sales of dogs versus the Davises. And it's just unfortunate that we're at this very uncomfortable juxtaposition of where they are in this business and where we are trying to go from what we deem is in the best interest of the city and what our constituents want. I mean, I heard somebody mention emails earlier, but I've heard decisions made on 40 emails. And so I think it's interesting when we use I'm here to represent the people and listen to my constituents and build to the will of the people. And then we don't really like what they have to say. And so we kind of run the other direction a little bit. But for me, again, I have no doubt that the Davises are very wonderful people, that they're one of the best operators in the Petland system. But the question is when we talk about the system, what is that? And for me, it goes back down again. We're not putting the storefront on trial here. We're putting the idea of, is it ethical behavior to have dogs and animals come from high volume breeders, and is in that best interest? I mean, we talk about USDA. I watched this entire documentary on Tyson Foods as they've gone through COVID-19 and what the bare minimum USDA is. So I personally don't have a lot of faith in the USDA, and that's not the Davis's fault. I just continue to go back to the supply chain, which is the crux of the issue. And so to Councilman Smiley's amendment, or his idea of an amendment, there's a really interesting thought there, which is, hey, look, we're not afraid of dogs being sold in a retail location as long as they're a boutique on-site breeder, taking care of those animals themselves versus a high volume, heavy hitter, large manufacturer of animals. And then secondly, I think I hear Councilman Jones, but I'll give him the benefit. I know he's in the queue to respond. But if the idea is a permit and or some sort of enforcement, the city is not equipped to do that. We can barely fund Memphis Animal Services, and our code enforcement's not equipped, nor does it have the manpower to go out and do that kind of enforcement. Ironically enough, that enforcement would somewhat rely underneath either the city or the county's building authority, or the health department, who does restaurant and health inspections. And I think they've got 16 inspectors for over 1,000 restaurants a year. So I'm not sure that that's the best road. But I appreciate the response to the questions. And with that, I yield the floor.
All right, Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a question initially for Director Pugh. Why have Nashville and other large cities ban this type of industry?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. I think that it's, we are Memphis and we are focused on what happens here, and it doesn't matter what other people do, but it's always good to look at why things happen in other communities. There are over 400 cities around the United States that have passed similar ordinances and said they don't want to hear it. And I think probably one of the most interesting things that I've seen happen is that there are cities around the country that passed compromise ordinances like have been discussed here, where there were permitting processes and things like that. They're actually going back to the table to come back to the original ordinance language like we're talking about today, because it hasn't worked. So the reason why it's been passed is because the puppy mill connection is clear. And I'll avoid using the word puppy mill because it seems like there's some lack of clarity about what that means. The high volume, profit above care model of breeding that is linked inextricably to the retail pet sales industry. Other communities have said we don't want that in our community. And so that's why it's been passed successfully in hundreds of cities around the country. And certainly, you know, the same thing would apply here. It's just not something that we want for our city. Did that answer your question, sir? I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, I did. I thought it was important that we looked at that. And then I want to talk about Councilman Jones's concept here. You know, I'm thinking that we've been on this ordinance for, you know, a while. We've had it. We've been getting our emails. You know, I'm ready to vote on it. But, you know, if Councilman Jones wants to delay it, or if he wants to bring back, you know, a modification to the ordinance once it's passed, both of those things seem reasonable to me. Is there a reason we shouldn't vote on this today and then have a modification to the ordinance after we've had more discussion, and that gives you more than 1 week or 2 weeks to come up with, you know, a plan that you would want to have? So I would propose that we consider voting on the ordinance tonight and coming back with the modification, but I will yield to Councilman Jones if he really feels like he has to have delay in order to do this. Thank you.
And we'll get to Councilman Jones here in a minute. Council Lady Logan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Before we vote, I want to make sure I'm understanding. Initially, when this was brought up, it was more so leaning toward animal cruelty. And, you know, specifically the Davises, then it moved to Petland as the corporation. Then we started hearing about predatory lending and financing when and not so much as to the animal cruelty. And then today we saw pictures of a puppy that was on 2 different sites. So then we started talking about the marketing. You know, as we know that there are issues, you know, you can have issues. There may be some lawsuits. We have had a number of problems, even with the animal shelter. I'm so grateful they've turned things around and things are looking up and are in good hands, and, you know, really an exceptional organization now. But, you know, previously we've had concerns as well and issues, but we're not going to throw the animal shelter out the window, the baby out with the bathwater. But I want to make certain that I'm voting on what is really the issue. And yes, I've received a number of robocall type of emails, and I'm not sure if, you know, the people were necessarily informed as we have been today. Councilman Carlisle did bring up a point about the high volume that I hadn't considered. So I am leaning more towards what Councilman Jones proposed, because, you know, there needs to be some more information, you know, as far as I'm concerned, as it relates to that, even just looking at the numbers. But I don't want to be swayed by talks of puppy mills and those types of things. Let's really just deal with the facts. What is this resolution about? And also I want to, you know, speak to Councilman Smiley's resolution, because I'm not sure if we start to have them be the breeders, they could do the same thing. You know, they could become a puppy mills, and then we have to deal with that. So I don't know if that would be the total solution. I do like the permitting, but there's so many different things that we need to look at. You know, I would go along with what Councilman Jones is saying. We need a little bit more time to look at all of the situations. I know we had a lot of discussion, but things keep coming up as it did today. So I still need time, you know, in terms of getting more information and letting them answer our concerns, giving them the opportunity to answer our concerns. With that, I yield back, Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady Logan. Before I go to the maker of the ordinance, Councilman Morgan and Councilman Jones, for a hold question, I'm going to ask you guys individually, and I just need a yes, no. Mr. Davis, and I apologize, I swear I'm not trying to offend, but I was asked, are you under any kind of gag order?
Absolutely not.
Ms. Kunzelman, are you under any kind of gag order?
sorry. No, absolutely not.
Michael, are you under any kind of gag order?
As a 22-year practicing attorney, I can tell you I'm under no gag order whatsoever.
Thank you very much. Councilman Morgan, we're going to go to you and then Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also under no gag order. And
Councilman, we know.
I walked right into
Councilman Carlisle was generous in his math, and I want to go back to that a little bit, where it was, I guess, there's 73 puppies a month at one store and 54 at another. And so you annualize that out, and it's 1,524 puppies being sourced from 3 locations. Are you willing to share what those locations are?
I'm willing to take you there, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but the minute I give you this data, it becomes, as Director Pugh states, public knowledge. And then all those robocalls and emails you're getting, my breeders will get.
That doesn't sound very transparent to me. And I have a feeling
I have supplied the names of my breeders to Councilman Carlisle, and I'm trying my best to protect the business as you would, but nobody likes to be harassed, you or me or my breeders. I'll be happy to share anything about our business with you.
And are they breeders only, or also breeders and brokers?
No, they're breeders.
And they're breeders only.
They're breeders. I do have one customer that's a broker, and I go to them when I need to supplement, as I've stated before.
So out of
doesn't change the criteria of the requirements.
Well, the question is in terms of the sourcing of these animals. So 1,524 puppies a year from 3 different locations. Maybe you have to go to some outside sources a little bit. So Councilman Carlisle said 900. I think it would be a lot higher from those 3 locations. And I've got USDA inspection reports from some of those people that you have shared where they only have 50 dogs in their possession. And that's including 22 puppies and 28 adults. So clearly, if they are supplying you with hundreds of puppies, they are now sourcing them from multiple breeders themselves.
Now, let me explain, Councilman, how that works. Most of the breeders across the country, not just the ones I deal with, are family businesses. And if you can imagine an operation as big as what Councilman Carlisle was stating, that would be a huge facility. That's not how they work. They have smaller pods, smaller kennels, and aggregately they come together. And then my son, who drives a truck to each one of the locations, picks up the puppies in the supply chain and brings them straight to my store. But we don't go to one place and pick up all the puppies.
It wouldn't be all at once because there has to be a supply chain, but still the math doesn't bear out that sourcing 300, 400, 500 dogs, if it were just evenly dispersed out from those 3 breeders for your 2 stores in Pensacola and Fort Walton.
Well, it's, I don't know the math right now of what pairs my breeders have in numbers. But typically I'm only getting a certain number each month, and they've been able to supply it.
And that's the question are they brokers in that you might be able to inspect their sites and their sites are okay, but where are they getting them from?
They breed them. I have 2 choices to buy puppies, straight from breeder relationships I have or brokers. I only use the brokers when I can't get what I need from the breeders themselves.
So what % come from the brokers and what from those 3 breeders?
It differs each week. I don't know, 80% at least come from my breeders.
Okay.
I don't have that exact number.
I hate to belabor this point because it's getting to the point of awkward, but again, this doesn't pass the smell test. Something about this doesn't work out. And that's what I found about this entire issue. The more I've been digging into it over months and months. And at first I thought it was a good and right and easy thing to do. And now it is almost a passion. It is going to be a side hobby for me. From what I've discovered from across this industry in terms of their standards. And I don't think it's fair to say that all of a sudden videos and pictures don't count as evidence, and that just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. So, I mean, it is possible that things on the internet are false. And I would cite the Petland website as examples of that. And what we were talking about, the 16 puppies that are for sale in Memphis that have been claimed on the Pensacola website as founding homes and are healthy and happy in homes. No, they were shipped off to Memphis. So another question, 1,524 pets were sold. Obviously, there has to be a certain number of puppies that come in that are not sold. What is the protocol? How long do they remain in inventory before being removed to a Petland store, and where are they removed to?
Good question. All of our puppies get placed in homes, 100%, and 100% get placed in homes before week 17 of age. Very few get there. Our average days in house right now in Pensacola is 16 days, and in Fort Walton it's 19 days. And during that period of time, the puppies spend half their time in a playroom socializing with people and other puppies.
Mm-hmm. So you use 3 breeders now. We have reports of, and you talk about them coming from Indiana and Missouri. We have reports of your having used breeders in Kansas, in, let's see, as well. Do you still buy from the Kansas breeder?
I have one supplemental breeder in Kansas that I buy bulldogs from specifically.
Okay.
Bulldogs are hard to breed. You can't just find them anywhere.
Council members, I'm trying to abide by Councilman Smiley's new, I guess, codes of language that we're allowed to use. It's permissible and polite. And I find this is maybe the first time in my 5-6 years on council that I'm struggling with it. But I think they are incredibly well versed at pitching their business. I don't think they're doing it in a straightforward way. I think there is a lot of absence of information that's being purposeful, that there is a shift from one argument to another without ever addressing the first one. And it is a really well done pitch. In fact, I think the next time I have an ordinance or resolution in front of City Council, I'm going to try to hire Andre if it's legal. He's been terrific on this. It was a good move. But I don't find them credible. And the more you scratch, the more you pull on a thread, the more starts to come loose. And I encourage, if we are going to delay today, I don't mind the delay, except for that my colleagues have expressed that they are ready to move on from this. But if the majority of the will of the body is to delay, I'm okay with that. And I encourage my colleagues to take the time to pull on threads of things that have been presented. They talk about transparency a lot. I don't think that's something that they value. From whether it's their employees signing non-disclosure agreements, whether it's their customers having to sign away their rights and to go to a neutral arbitrator that is chosen by Petland rather than an independent court, whether it is we are welcome to visit a breeder at their discretion. I imagine it'd be a lot like touring an Iran nuclear facility. We'd see what they want when they want, but we can't do the investigation on our own. There is an independent group that has done investigations, the Humane Society, and they have an enormous amount of documentation and videos and pictures of breeders associated not only with Petland National, but also the Pensacola and Fort Walton locations. And I encourage each council member, if there is a delay today, to take that time to look into the information.
Thank you, Councilman Morgan. Councilman Jones, close us out.
Thank you. I'm just of the opinion, I don't think that Mr. Davis, knowing that the specter of a a more stringent prohibition or ban is hanging over their heads if we adopt one where we're looking at a permitting process. I just don't think that I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and would be the first one. Let's just say we come back with a substitute motion, that one that provides a permitting process. If allowed to operate, if that passes in Petland and Mr. Davis is allowed to operate and they come back and we find that they are bad actors, I would be the first one to move that we change and adopt that ordinance and adopt this particular ban. But I'm just asking, whether it's a hold or whether it's to give them the benefit of the doubt, we're going with a straight zero tolerance for any type of operator, whether bad, good, or indifferent, versus one that says, okay, well, we have a permitting process. And based upon your being the bad actor, we're going to take away that privilege of you to do business in this city. I have no reason to think that Mr. Davis would operate in any other way, especially given the amount of scrutiny that this process has taken him through. And like I said, I'll be the first one, Mr. Davis, I'll say to you, I'd be the first one to move that we go with a more prohibitive ordinance if we find that you operate in a way that's harmful to animals. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we hold this until our next meeting.
I got a motion. Need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Ford. Moved by Jones. Seconded by Ed Ford. Madam Comptroller, call the roll. Oh, to clarify, a yes is to hold this for 2 weeks, and I would assume we're going to go to committee and then full council. A no vote is to go back to discussion. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
No.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Abstain.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren, Chairman Covette.
Yes, that item's held. We'll talk about it again in 2 weeks. Colleagues, very, very good questions. Very good discussion. I know we went a little long on it, but I think it was extremely worth it. All right, let's keep moving. Item 21, let's go right at it.
Item 21 is a resolution authorizing approval of the use of pilot extension fund for payment of indebtedness or costs with respect to the purchase of 100 North Main and pre-construction costs and the cost of the development or redevelopment of parking on the 100 North Main site by the Downtown Mobility Authority and a portion of the cost of the development of a parking garage by the Downtown Mobility Authority as part of the redevelopment of the Snuff District and otherwise providing with respect to the foregoing. This resolution is sponsored by the administration.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion in a second?
Move it, Carlisle.
Second, Swearingen.
Moved by Councilman Carlisle, second by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen. Does any member of the administration wish to speak to this item? Chief McGowan, are you on?
Just want to remind you, Chair, you do have a comment regarding this item.
Very good. Why don't we hear from the administration then, and we'll hear the comment, and then we'll go into discussion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doug McGowan, Chief Operating Officer, 347 Stonewall, 38112. So this is a part of the larger issue that we are having with respect to the convention center, the renovation of the convention center, the Lowe's Hotel location here in Memphis and the 100 North Main that was a part of the original proposal. All of those are a part of the special TDZ that was put into place. As you know, the partners originally came to town as one team. It was the Lowe's Corporation House Management, and they all came together. At some point during that time, the partners decided that they could not work any longer together. We moved forward with the Lowe's proposal, and the 100 North Main partners, despite having worked with them for a number of actually years, we were unable to come to a development agreement. I'm not sure. Are you hearing noise in the background, or is that just me?
The committee room's hot. Hey, Brooke, y'all's mic is hot.
Your mic is on.
Sorry about that. So,
Chief, you have the floor. Madam Vice Chairman, you have the ball.
Thank you. So we have a deal with Lowe's Hotel to continue that development process. Over the last year or two, we have tried with Townhouse in order to try to strike a deal and redevelop that hotel. They still have had some entitlement from the TDZ, and we were unable to find a way to get that property redeveloped, despite offering every tool that we had under the sun applied to that property. They were unable to find a way to redevelop the property. I can't comment on that. I'm not an expert in real estate development, but I do know that they were unable to consummate a deal that would deliver that in a state that could be operational. So then there were some lawsuits. I won't comment on the lawsuits, but where we stand today is that we will be moving forward with the Convention Center Hotel, and we will be left with what we started with, a 39-story blighted building that has been vacant for quite some number of years. My comment about the worthiness of moving forward with this, two parts. Number one, we're contemplating using parking extension fund, and I'll allow Jennifer to talk about that. For any major redevelopment of a building like this, you would likely invest at least this amount of money that you're contemplating to do to acquire the building in a parking incentive. Number two, I heard loud and clear from many council members, but what about 100 North Main? You can't put a new convention center hotel here and then leave 100 North Main the way it is. I assured you at the time that I was doing everything in my power to try to strike a deal to get that building redeveloped. I will tell you, Jennifer and I worked night and day and explored every single option, went to the state multiple times to look for any other thing that we could do to help them deliver a deal, and we were unsuccessful. And so my fear is that unless we act, we will be with this building for another 4 to 5 years, at least, maybe longer in its current condition. Memphis has had significant momentum. Our downtown has seen significant amount of growth, and this will retard our growth unless it is taken care of. I see this as an opportunity cost. At some point, we will have to take care of this issue, and it's clear that the current owners and the partners that are involved are just unable to deliver a solution that's adequate for our downtown. We stand behind the proposal to acquire the building. It is now in our control, and City Council can now ask me the question, what could we do with 100 North Main? As you know, with the program that we put into place for Accelerate Memphis, we have earmarked some funds that we could help to bring that back to appreciable use, and or to demolish it if that is the will if that is our collective will, so that we have a new pristine development site. So I believe Jennifer and her team have a good plan with a couple of years to bring that to fruition, to find a development partner. But once we get it under control, we can move forward with that. We can do nothing at present time. And I think last week you talked about the risks with the other development of the Lowe's Hotel based on the lawsuit. So that's what I have to offer. We stand fully behind this. We think it's a reasonable and prudent action to take, weighing all things and looking at the time and the opportunity cost if we don't act today. So that's where I'll stop. I'll ask Jennifer if she could add anything to that.
I don't have anything to add at this moment. I'm happy to review the presentation or if you all would like.
Okay, before we go into the queue, Councilman Jones, Councilman Morgan, Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, do we have a letter to the council in this case?
Yes, sir, we do. We have a letter from Joe Kent, 5111 Flamingo, Memphis, Tennessee, 38117. Reject this fund request while approving the use of already approved and excessive $62 million in pilot extension funds for the purchase of the existing 100 North Main building. Also reject the $3.5 million loan for the snuff district. The pilot extension fund was never intended to fund private garage development. The snuff district is a private garage that of course gladly accommodates the public willing to pay for parking, which benefits the property owner. It was plain wrong and a misuse of funds to loan Hyde, Ogle, and Carlisle $21 million in commercially available taxpayer-funded loans for private garage development that span 45 to 60 years at interest rate between 2 and 3%. As far as $10 million in remediation of the 100 North Main gets $10 million from Edge and don't undercut the neighborhoods. Besides, the DMC and the pilot extension fund currently owes the city of Memphis $10.5 million. This pilot extension fund is a next generation slush fund for the elitists. Over 25 years, including the existing balance, loan fund repayments, and restricted tax proceeds, the pilot extension fund will consist of $137 million Memphis Shelby County taxpayer funds reserved for the elitists. This is a Memphis tradition and the generation provision that passes on from elitists to the next elitist generation. This is why Memphis does not move forward with elitist taxpayer funding, slush funds being set up throughout the public with private complex. This concludes the comment for item number 21, Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lady. In the queue. Yeah, good job. You're better than me now. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we divide the question. Each one of these projects have their own merits. I don't have any issue with the 3.5, but my issue is with the 100 North Main. So I would move that we divide the question.
Motion to divide. Is there a second?
Second, Easter Thomas.
Moved by Jones, seconded by Easter Thomas to divide the question. Is there an objection to dividing the question?
I'd like to. I don't know if it's an objection. If I may, Chair, I'd like to hear the rationale, if you don't mind, because the only Councilman Jones, I apologize, just to preempt or to put a prelude on that is last week it had to do with needing a plan for all of this money. Have we moved past needing a plan now? And so I'm just going off your commentary last week when we met.
That's fine, because one thing, if we're talking about the pilot extension fund and what its original intent was for a parking garage. It does not. 100 North Main includes the building itself, the 39-story building. That was contemplated when the pilot extension fund was first adopted. So based upon the merits, the 3.5 for that's a garage. That's what the pilot extension fund was for, the downtown mobility. That building is not mobile. So that's the basis for dividing the question. Each one of them stands on their own merits. And I think that we can address them separately. And I think that we should.
I appreciate the answer. That's fair enough. Councilman or Chairman Colvett, may I address the motion then?
Do you object to the motion?
For the moment.
Please address it before we'll go to a vote.
I would just say that it's a two-parter. One, it's downtown mobility. While the Downtown Parking Authority has given loans in order to spur projects on for parking components, as someone who redeveloped the Chiska after it was vacant for 30 years, and you talk about mobility downtown, I can tell you that mobility downtown and in and out of the downtown area takes a significant hit when a super block is dark, blighted, and vacant when you're trying to connect a downtown corridor such as our Main Street, especially when it's on the corner of the Civic Center Plaza. Additionally, for roughly $10.75 million, we are acquiring parking and getting the building on top of it or a future development site. So it's actually a 2-for-1. So I would just tell you that it absolutely meets the idea of a parking component as the Downtown Mobility Authority's guidance and bylaws would meet.
But that's why we divide the question and we talk about that aspect of it, because I'm still of the contention. My contention could be it may not be 12. I may be okay with 7. So, but that has nothing to do with the parking garage for the snuff district. That's why. So those things are things that we debate, but those are not. But we divide the question.
Fair enough. I was just addressing your comments on why you wanted to divide the question. Now we're moving on from that. Okay. All right, Chair.
We're in discussion. Your thoughts?
I'm sorry?
It's been moved and properly seconded. Do you have any further thoughts?
No.
All right. Jennifer Oswald, you look like I couldn't tell if you were motioning to be recognized.
Yes, thank you. It is the responsibility of the Downtown Mobility Authority's board and the DMC's related entities to best figure out how to use the pilot extension fund. And so we are trying to expeditiously bring you these requests. If we could have gotten it all together in one request, we would have done that. And we believe that they are intertwined because we take a look at all of the needs downtown and how to best use that money. To your point, Councilman Jones, we do look ahead. We have known about a lot of these projects that we've brought forward recently for some time and been weighing the pros and cons of these along with other projects that are potentially before us, and believe that collectively they solve for the future of parking needs in downtown and development catalyst projects, which is what this fund is for and has been historically successful at providing. So we do see it as one approval for the use of the funds in total, because we can't really think about them without thinking about the opportunity cost. And so had we been able to line up all the approvals at one time for the previous projects and these, we would have done that all at once. Thank you.
Okay, we're still in discussion on the dividing of the question. I see no other council members seeking recognition, unless Mr. Morgan, you wish to speak on this, or we want to hold till we answer the question.
The question, I hope it's yes. So a lot of times when we divide the question, it's because we have a consent agenda or a lot of items in one vote. Are we able to divide the question on this resolution?
To my understanding, yes. Is Council Attorney Wade on the call? If he is not, it is the opinion of the chair that it is a valid motion.
I'm not challenging it. Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a motion to divide the question and I guess to keep it simple, it's basically the second question is going to be the item 2, page 3 of the document, page 85 in your packet, that says that the use of funds from the pilot extension fund in connection with the use of $3.5 million from its pilot extension fund for the snuff district loan, and the snuff district loan is hereby approved. That's what I understand you're separating, Councilman Jones. Do I understand that?
You are correct, Mr. Chairman.
Cool. All right. Special item number 1 is to divide.
Chair, if I may, I will draw the objection. Let's just move forward.
Without objection? Without objection. The question is now divided. The 3.5 will be the second question. We're on the first item. We'll go into discussion. Councilman Morgan, do you wish to be recognized?
Yes, please. So I appreciate the council's patience on our last item and the amount of time we spent on it. So I'm going to try to be brief throughout the rest of this meeting. But this is too important of an issue to talk on, and I have absolutely gone back and forth on this. This is difficult. And part of it is I feel like the city has just been dealt a bad hand here. And we're trying to play or make the best of a bad hand. And there are lawsuits involved in this. There's the redevelopment of the convention center, there's potential Lowe's hotel, and we're trying to figure out, one, I think all my colleagues, maybe sometimes to their own frustration, know that a lot of times I like to vote on principle. I would not be described as a kind of a Lyndon Johnson type in the way I legislate. And there's something about this that just doesn't feel good. And it bothers me that, we're kind of settling or buying this out of interest to move on, even though we might have a better case to make down the road. But in trying to make that case and to win that case, we could cause damage to other citizens and interests in downtown Memphis that really don't deserve to catch that kind of collateral and the delay and the uncertainty. So I'm going to be voting yes on this tonight, almost to my own surprise, because I think in a very practical way, if I were to simplify it, us taking control of this property and being able to dictate its future, I think quickly is in the best interest of Memphis as a whole, as well as this area as a whole. And I in no way want this to be a future precedent for how we handle legal cases or properties. But I think in this instance, it's probably the best of a bad hand that we've been dealt. So I'll be voting yes. And I'd be interested to hear the other arguments, but I hope eventually my colleagues will join me as well in that vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Interestingly enough, I see no other members in the queue are seeking recognition. Jennifer Oswald, you wish to be recognized.
Thank you. I do have one update. Last week, one of the biggest complaints was that the developer was receiving too much compensation for the building. We were reporting on just the purchase price of the parcels, which was a little over $5 million. They have produced records to show us that there were additional costs, carrying costs, marketing, development, pre-development costs, as well as some write-off of the loan that they had on the building, which gave them the right to buy it in the first place, and that these totaled approximately $12 million. So given that information, which we have not audited or anything like that, but feel that it is reasonable, it appears that they are not getting a windfall from the sale, but merely breaking even on their attempt to develop the property. And obviously, we believe that it is a fair amount for what we would put into a project of this size. And again, it's 2 acres in the middle of the heart of our downtown, currently a huge barrier between the success of the convention center and connecting it to the rest of downtown. So just wanted to provide that one update since that was a big point last week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with the comments of Councilman Morgan. Nobody wants to overpay or underpay. Everybody wants to pay the best price. This organization and the city and the councils before us have often gone into conversations about the city's role in development. And we find ways to do things like the Raleigh Uptown TIF. And we find ways to do things like the TDZ down at Graceland, to where the city knows that something is so significant to the importance of certain landmarks in certain areas of downtown. I would tell you that this falls directly within that, even though it is downtown. And I would remind you that this bucket of money can only be used downtown and nowhere else in the city, and that is by law and by agreement. And so at the end of the day, we have an opportunity here, while the real estate cycle is still active, to take advantage of what we've done in the past to free up 100 North Main and the surrounding sites for opportunity. Or we risk it sitting there for another 20 years because the cycle is gone, or the winds change. There's a very brief window for a period of maybe 3-5 years for us to get going. It could be longer. If I knew the answer to that, I'd probably be playing in the stock market. But what I know is interest rates are still historically low. Equity is looking for opportunities, and Memphis is on the map. And if we don't free this property up and put it in the hands of the city, because the another option is, why not let the private markets do it? Well, because if we let the private markets do it, we don't know who's going to buy it and what they want to do with it. And it could just continue to go in a cycle of ownership. The city has a unique opportunity to take control of a landmark asset in downtown and figure out what vision it wants to see forward. And we get to be a significant part of that. Or we can say no with no other alternative and let it sit there for 20 years. So with that, I'll be supporting this. Thank you. I yield back, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can understand if there was a imminent deal for this building to justify this. I know, I think that based upon prior representation, there were RFPs or requests for proposals sent out, and there were none that were acceptable. So I go back to why now the timing of things. Just because somebody makes an investment doesn't mean that they're entitled to a break even. Even if there are no imminent plans for this building, sometimes the owner may have to take a loss. I'm not saying I'm opposed to this. I'm just saying the price tag of $12 million, I don't think that we should pay that for. Another question that I have, do we have is there an estimated cost of demolition for this? It would be a totally different story if we're saying that the cost of demolition and I don't know, I'm just throwing out figures. Maybe maybe the cost of demolition may be $5 million. Well, that would be $5 million added to the 12. But if it's $5 million on top of a price of $7 million, that's a totally different proposition, and I'd be more amenable to that. But the fact that we do not have an impending deal, we could very well be left holding the bag if there's nobody that's expressed any interest in developing it, whether it's this year, next year. Ms. Oswald, are there any proposals on the table right now for this property or for this block?
We have not put out a formal request. There has been significant interest from developers, but they were not able to move forward with the current ownership and with the price tag associated with that. So we do believe that with all the incentives that are still associated with the parcels, that there will be significant interest.
So what was the price tag that the owner was it less or more than the $12 million that we're offering to buy it for?
More. The
How much
price
more?
given to private developers was higher, and the price that we started at negotiating, which was much higher.
How much was that? The public needs to know this. How much was that?
17 plus, started at over 20.
Okay. But whatever risk that are associated with holding this building, I just contend that I don't feel that the city needs to hold that risk or sit on this. Do we have an idea of what the demolition cost of that building would be?
We do. We have a range of 3 to 5 million.
Okay.
It all depends on how much of the contents of the building have to be emptied.
Gotcha. And so I just pulled that $5 million figure out of thin air, but it's close to what we're talking about. I just don't see us. I cannot justify, and I will not be supporting anything that will potentially be a 12 to 17 million dollar, 12 and 3, 15 to $7 million ultimate investment in this property. We're talking 12 with a purchase price of 7 and a demolition price of 3 to 5. I'd be supportive, but if we're talking 15 to 17. I would encourage my colleagues not to support this. We're in no hurry because if I know you're not with us technically anymore, Ms. Oswald, but if the DMC goes out there and says, these are proposals, if there are no other pending offers for this building, I think that these owners would take 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever the case may have been. But I don't think that we need to be making anywhere from a 15 to $17 million in this property. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I may just clarify on the purchase price, it is 10.75, and we've allowed up to 12 for pre-development costs, which could also go towards demolition should that be the determined path. But if not, that was the amount we wanted to be able to invest in securing the property, marketing it properly, and getting it under development.
Why should we do that versus the risk right now rests with the current ownership group? I don't think that we need to be in that business.
It's just our opinion that the risk to the health and welfare of this end of downtown, especially with the convention center being so close, and the continuing deterioration that that building and that site brings to the area, is of a greater risk to downtown's health and vibrancy than the cost of what we would put into a project of this size.
That liability, the liability and the risk still rests with the current owner, and I don't think that the city should assume that risk. I'm just one vote, and that's one.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll try and leave it with this. As somebody who works in development, with the city having control of this site and the ability to offer incentives to take it down, potentially take it down, is an absolute game changer. And somebody that actively works day to day in this business and in this field, there will be an extreme amount of interest in this site. And so you can't begin an RFP process with the city of Memphis. No developer that's really, truly capable would spend that kind of money and diligence. And we can argue liability all over the place, but I was in the Chiska. I've been in the Steric building. This is a drop in the bucket for a potential $250 million development, which is probably what would go on the site. And so it's either that, or we have the Chiska for 30 years, or we have the Steric building. The owners of this building are clearly not motivated to redevelop this site, and they will just hold on to it because they can. They're a high net worth family and a multi-million-dollar setting in New York City. They have no interest in investing in Memphis at this point. This is the right thing to do. With that, I move the previous question, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle. I would like to add, if it's okay with the group, Chase, I think you hit the nail on the head. Colleagues, the way the lawsuits and everything are with this current owner, he doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit on it. I'm looking out my window when the sun is up, and we've all seen that building and where it's gone and where it's going, and it's not going to improve. We buy it, we settle out the lawsuits so that they're gone, we can put it on the market so it's free and clear, and a developer could take it because it's prime real estate. But it's been made very clear to us, if we do nothing, what we're seeing right now only deteriorates. Just my 10 cents. I'll call the question now. If there's no objection, nobody else wanting to be in the queue, we're on special item 1 of the separated question. I don't recall who moved it or seconded the separation. It was Martavius moved to separate. Who seconded the separation?
Easter Thomas, second.
Michael and Easter Thomas seconded. I assume you're ready to vote. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Carlisle?
Yes.
Easter Thomas?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Jones?
No.
Logan?
Aye.
Morgan?
Yes.
Robinson?
Aye.
Smiley? Vice Chairwoman, thank you, Councilmember Smiley. Vice Chairwoman Swearingen?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Chairman Colvette?
Aye. Special item 1 passed. We're now to the separated item 2, which is actually item 2, the 3.5 million for Snuff District. I'm clearing the queue. Anybody wish to talk about that? Seeing no members in the queue, no members seeking recognition, I assume you're ready to vote. On the second item, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali?
Yes.
Carlisle?
Chair, I hate to stop the roll call. I think Councilwoman Logan had a clarification.
I apologize. Hold the vote. Council Lady Logan, do you have a question?
Chairwoman, or I'm sorry,
Unmute.
Councilwoman, you're muted.
Yes, I just needed this portion. I just want to make sure I'm clear on what we're voting on.
Yes, ma'am. This was the divided question. What we're specifically voting on is page 3 of the document, page 85 in your packet. It is item 2 towards the bottom. And it specifically speaks to the pilot extension fund in connection with the $3.5 million from its pilot extension fund to the snuff district loan. Such snuff district loan is hereby approved. So basically it's on that $3.5 million specifically. Fair enough?
Yes, thank you.
Not a problem. Let's resume our vote. We're on Councilman Carlisle.
Councilmember
Aye.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, please call item 28.
Item number 28 is a resolution approving an honorary street name change of North McLean Boulevard between Jackson Avenue and Valentine Avenue for the late Judge Teresa Jones. This resolution is sponsored by Councilwoman Easter Thomas.
There's a request for same night minutes. Councilman Canale, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, but we did not discuss this issue, so I would like to toss it to Councilwoman Easter Thomas.
All right, Council Lady Easter Thomas, you're recognized to move it first. Let me get a second, then you can discuss.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Smiley, seconded by Council Lady Robinson. Council Lady Easter Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I would, since we didn't discuss it earlier, just like to request my colleagues' support in this honorary street name change for my neighbor, someone who I also look up to, and someone who we definitely revere in Black Memphis history and woman history and Black woman Memphis history. So that corner where her home is on Valentine and McLean could be revered as Judge Teresa Jones Boulevard, honoring all that she has done in her lifelong contributions to the entire city of Memphis. And I would also like to ask that if you would be so willing to be a co-sponsor on this, I would gladly appreciate that, as well as your support for this resolution.
Outstanding. Is there any objection to everyone, to all members co-sponsoring? Hearing none, all members are certified co-sponsors. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 28. Moved by Smiley, seconded by Robinson. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canale,
Yes, co-sponsor.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Congratulations, Michaelin. I think it's well done. Madam Comptroller, call the MLG&W fiscal consent agenda.
That will take us to item number 6, which is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12262 HPUX support with Aptech Technologies, Inc. in the funded amount of $42,000. Item number 7 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12263 with Panaya Software as a Service with Panaya Incorporated to change the current contract in the funded amount of $21,000. Item number 8 is a resolution approving change number 2 to contract number 12093, printing equipment maintenance with Mitchell Graphic Repair, doing business as MGR Incorporated, in the funded amount of $48,113. Item number 19 is a resolution approving change number 1 to contract number 12261, utility bill folder inserter equipment and software maintenance with Bell and Howell LLC in the funded amount of $251,808. Item number 10 is a resolution awarding contract number 12228 for 12-foot PELFG decommissioning to Action Environmental in the funded amount of $124,000. And item number 11, where there is a request for same-night minutes, is a resolution ratifying the approval after the fact of a payment of $194,580 to Barnhart Crane and Rigging for rental of cranes used during the emergency replacement of tower number 739. Mr. Chairman, that concludes our MLGW fiscal consent items.
Council Lady Robinson.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Council Lady Robinson. Who seconded it?
Forward.
Forward.
Seconded by Councilman Ford. Seeing no members in the queue, assuming you're ready to vote on the MLGW fiscal consent agenda. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, call item 22.
Item number 22 is a resolution adopting the City of Memphis Division of Parks and Neighborhoods Master Plan, a guide for the next decade of parks-related operations and development. This resolution is sponsored by the Division of Parks and Neighborhoods.
Thank you, Council Lady Logan.
Thank you, Chair. The committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Second, Carlisle.
Moved by Council Lady Logan, seconded by Councilman Carlisle. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 22. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle.
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Covette.
Aye, that item passes. Please call item 23.
Item number 23 is a resolution amending the Memphis City Council Community Grant Program for FY 2022. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Jones and Councilman Smiley.
Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Second. Forward.
Moved by Councilman Morgan, seconded by Councilman Ford. Seeing no members, I have Councilman Carlisle in the queue.
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, when we met last time, I said that I would be bringing an amendment for discussion and or vote. Liza should be emailing out the amendment language, but it is one paragraph to the eligibility. I'll read it. We can put it up on the screen if that's necessary as well. This would be somewhat to the eligibility, but down in the therefore be it further resolved. I move to amend the council grant program. Let's see here. I move to amend the Memphis City Council Community Grant Program for FY 2022 with the following amendment. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Memphis City Council may not distribute taxpayer funds via the Memphis City Council Community Grant Program funds to any nonprofit organization and or agency in which a city council member has a familial relationship to persons serving an organization, including but not limited to as a board of director, officer, director, manager, or as an employee, or to any nonprofit organization or its affiliates and or agencies that have made financial contributions to Memphis City Council members' campaign and or PAC funds. And I so move.
All right, I have an amendment. Do I have a second?
Morgan seconds.
All right, moved by Carlisle, seconded by Morgan. Councilman Smiley, you're recognized.
I just have a question regarding the proposed amendment, so I can get clarity on the proposed amendment. So basically, the council may not basically give money to your family for the first part, right? And then the second part, you can't give money to a nonprofit that donate to your campaign.
Yeah, so if a charitable organization like that nonprofit donated it to your campaign or and I wouldn't go this far, Councilman Smiley, to be like a nonprofit to a PAC that then gave you, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying really if that nonprofit is a PAC or has a PAC and they donate to you that's directly affiliated, or nonprofit gave directly to you. And by the way, I think even by state law, we're precluded.
I'm not even sure that's possible, or if they could do that anyway. But okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just cleaning up and
okay, cool.
The idea is good governance here.
Okay.
Thank you,
I just want to make sure I understood it before I voted on it. It's kind of weird if I don't understand and vote on it.
Ask questions. Thank you, Councilman Smiley. Councilman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you. I can understand the spirit and appreciate the spirit of it, but I think it's too broad. When you say familiar, is that usually when we have if we look at our conflicts of interest, it basically says that the person can't be living in the house with you. It can't be a child, but familiar, that's a third cousin. So I think we need to specify if that's the case. I think a nonprofit, to my knowledge, cannot make a campaign to a country. Cannot make a campaign contribution. So I think that language is unnecessary. So unless we clean it up to be more specific as opposed to more general, I would not be in support of it.
May I respond, Chair?
Yes.
I'm not an attorney in campaign finance law, so and I don't think anybody on the council is. So may or may not. This explicitly says if it may or may not be. We're saying it's not allowed. So call it a double barrier. That way that there's no misunderstanding when we get to grant season. As far as a familial relationship, Councilman Jones, I hear your point. If you'd like to offer an amendment or further define familial, I'd be certainly willing to listen to that. I'm also, based on the time that we have today, happy to move to hold this item and discuss it in committee at our next meeting based on our robust schedule today.
Okay.
As Councilwoman Johnson said, we should take our time with these things.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of holding it for 2 weeks so we can hash out the language as it relates to this amendment.
All right, let's go through the queue. We have a potential offer to hold. Council Lady Johnson, do you have any questions, or just we're going to wait 2 weeks to talk about it then?
Well, I'm definitely in support of a hold under the circumstances, because I think that word familiar with is too broad, because most of us work with different nonprofits because we believe in the cause of that nonprofit. But that shouldn't limit us because we want to work with a nonprofit that we cannot provide any assistance to them as with the grant. So no, I couldn't support it as it's written also. Thank you,
All right.
Chair.
I'm catching the sentiment. I think we're going to see this in 2 weeks. Councilor Easter Thomas, do you wish to add something?
I did before we said we would hold, but just so that I won't forget it. I would also be against this as it is written, solely because of the case that it seemed to be if we had something that we had a familial relationship with, we would be able to recuse ourselves from that vote if need be. And this is coming just from, I guess, a personal stance, as my husband is a nonprofit development officer for some nonprofits that have received funds from the city, which are definite organizations that all of you all have given money to by the record as well. So I'm just putting that out there that as it is written, I wouldn't support it because it would ultimately hurt the grant recipients. And we do have the option to recuse ourselves from the votes as we do when we are going through other items such as business deals. So those are my 2 cents.
Thank you, Council Lady. Council Lady Robinson, you're recognized.
Yes, I have a problem with the language, especially as it relates to board of directors. As the council representative on several different boards that the chairman placed me on, then it puts me in direct violation for something that the council initiated. We need to have additional conversation on this.
Thank you very much. Councilor Wade suggests that they may have a standard in the charter. I have a motion to hold, properly seconded by Morgan. Is there any objection to hold? We'll hear it in committee in 2 weeks.
Without objection, Chair.
Yes, I have an objection.
Sorry, Councilman Jones, my apologies.
Yeah. I'd like to hear from Mr. Wade, because if Mr. Wade says that we already have something in charter that covers this, we can go ahead and vote on the original question.
He says we may. I think he needs to research it.
I think it's in reference to what familial means.
Yes, that's correct.
Councilor Wade, you're recognized.
I think if you remember, we had an issue about officers having conflicts of interest, and it talked about members of your immediate family and different levels of blood level that's already in the charter. You could probably defer to that standard. I can pull it for you in a minute if you want me to.
If you would.
Yeah, hold
Please.
on one second. Hold on, let me get my book.
All right, while he's researching that, Council Lady Robinson wishes to be recognized. However, Council Lady Johnson was in the queue first, then I'll go to Council Lady Robinson.
I'm here for clarification this time, Chair. Thank you for recognizing me. I'm looking at the original resolution, and at the bottom of page 89, the Memphis City Council will not accept financial requests that exceed more than 30% of the total operation budget. I would like to amend that to say of the previous year. Because last time we got caught up and people trying to tell you what they were doing that current year. So we need to establish when that 30% of the total operating budget should be dealt with.
Second.
I have a friendly amendment that the maker of the motion has no problem with, but it sounds like, again, if we hold it, we can hammer that out. While Councilor Wade's working on it, Councilor Robinson, and I believe Councilman Moore wishes to be recognized.
So while Attorney Wade is looking into this charter, I have a concern about positions that we are placed on because of our appointments from the council. They should not hinder us from participating in the process. Let me clear it up now.
Robinson, there we go. Now he's muted. Councilor Robinson, would you repeat that? I couldn't catch half of it.
I said, while our attorney is looking through our charter, he needs to look into the organizations that we have already been assigned to as council members or liaisons or on boards because of this council. It should not interfere with the work of the council. And if it does, then we don't need to be appointed to these different boards and organizations.
Exactly.
I can let me address one thing at a time. Under the section 177 of the charter, it says no officer, agent, or employee of the city government shall pass upon, supervise, control any work for the city or purchase contract for any kind of material for the city with a person or persons who are related by blood or marriage within the 6th degree as computed by common law. That's the standard that's in the charter now.
Chair, I'd move that we would adopt that language as a definition for familial.
Works for me. All right. Can we have that?
There's no second, Chair. There's no second.
Motion to hold.
I'm having a hard time hearing y'all. Attorney Wade.
We have a lot of mics on.
All right, everybody slow down. Did I hear a motion from Councilman Jones to hold this for 2 weeks?
I object to the motion.
You object to the hold?
Well, I withdraw my motion to hold.
All right, Councilman Jones withdraws the motion to hold. We're still sitting on the amendment, and I believe it has its friendly amendment. Seeing no further members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote. Councilor Jones.
There was no
information.
There was no second to the friendly amendment.
I'm sorry, my bad. Let me go back. I have an amendment that was accepted by the maker of the amendment. Is there a second to it?
What are we talking about?
No. What?
Tom.
The maker of the original motion or the amendment?
All we did was clear it to Councilman Jones's point. There's still just the single amendment on the table. The secondary motion, the main motion here, everyone, is the grant resolution. I've made an amendment which is before us, and all I did was say to Councilman Jones's point, we don't have a definition of familial, and I was just adding to my amendment to define familial. That's all. And so I didn't need a second to add to my own motion, but now we're back to the amended motion is laid on the table for the council to weigh in on.
And the definition of familial again, somebody?
Did the maker of the motion accept your friendly amendment?
We probably used the wrong, I'm sorry, Vice Chairman, we probably used the wrong vernacular. We were just adding my amendment was not received as friendly. We were adding an extended definition for a question. And Councilman Smiley, I'm going to do my best, and Councilman or Attorney Wade can weigh in here. It is through blood, or it is through marriage or blood through the 6th degree.
Okay, so everybody clear. We're on Councilman Carlisle's amendment with the additional language offered by Attorney Wade that was just clarified. Council Lady Johnson, do you still wish to be recognized?
I should, yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Yes. I'm going back to Councilman Chase addition there. I'm almost thinking most of it needs to be removed because what Attorney Wade said would cover everything. I mean, I think we're getting too detailed there, you know, especially as it was stated that we serve on some boards. How, I mean, you're still excluding yourself even with that comment. If you include that and leave what's being recommended.
Well, that was the amendment that was put on the floor. You sounds like you're not in favor of it.
No.
All right.
Right. I can accept just a general statement that was recommended by legal advice, but all the extra being left in, I still think it's going to be mass confusion.
All right.
Hold
Mr.
it for 2 weeks.
I'd like to call for the vote. I know you have one
Time
more.
out. Everybody, time out. All right, Councilor Swearingen, I heard you, but I think Councilman Ford also has some thoughts. But before we go there, Councilman Carlisle, do you wish to respond to Council Lady Johnson's thoughts? And then I'll go to Councilman Ford, and then we'll call the question on the amendment.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief because I know Councilman Ford should be afforded the opportunity to speak. He's been patient with me all day.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Johnson, all I'm trying to do is just be very specific to this program as opposed to having to refer to the charter, to the point the charter does drill into some of this when it comes to the first part of this amendment. The second part has specifically to do with political contributions and precluding us. I know that may not clarify it. Maybe holding it might be the best thing to do so we can talk about it more. With that, I'll yield back, Chair.
All right, now, Councilman Ford, you're recognized.
Thank you. We had to ask by our attorney. This language that's in there, Councilwoman Johnson, you're exactly right. We need to hold this for 2 weeks, not in a hurry to try to do something where we'll be right back where we were last year. Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson, for bringing all those different things up. But I move to hold this for 2 weeks while our attorney and all of us can get together and make sure it's right this time when we have to have it.
All right, I now have a motion to hold on the floor. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion moved to properly seconded to hold. Is there anyone still seeking recognition? Seeing none, is there any objection to the hold?
Yes, there was. I couldn't turn off my mute.
Councilman Jones, we have a motion on the floor. We're in discussion on the hold. What is your discussion?
A question for the attorney. Mr. Wade, does not what is already in the charter cover everything except the political contribution part?
You know, I can hardly read it, but I think so. And if I can speak to the political issue, one, a lot of PACs are, some of them may be nonprofits, but we don't fund any of them. I don't think that's where our money's going to be funded. Two, nonprofits cannot retain their nonprofit status if they make political contributions or become political in some way. So it's probably a very narrow, something that I can't even imagine that is needed to be covered. And I do believe that you cannot pass upon, under the charter, any grant if it is, if some person, I would say, I mean, I think it may need to be defined a little bit more, because you want someone not who's working there, but someone who's in a management or decision-making position might be an alternative that is related to a council member by blood or marriage within the 6th degree. That might be a more narrowly tailored way to do this that may give, may satisfy everybody. Now, someone just mentioned to me that we've given money to IBEW. I'm not, have we? That's odd.
You know what? Well, we've given something to, I think, what is it? The Johnny Dawson. It's a I guess if I recall correctly, it's a nonprofit that is part of IBEW, but it's my understanding it's a separate 501c3 from IBEW.
Yeah, I'd be surprised that we would give money to IBEW as an organization, but
we do not. Well, we have not, to my knowledge. We've given it to that foundation, which Mrs. Dawson was a former, I think maybe have been a former business manager or president of that, but it is separate from the union itself.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're going to hold it, we can look into that. But I would think it would be a rare circumstance that we would give money to an organization that could donate to your political campaign.
So with the narrow application, I just feel that the language proposed in the amendment is unnecessary, and that's why I would object to the whole.
Right.
And we should vote on it.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilman Ford, do you want last word before we go to a vote on the hold?
No, I think we should have a hold, give us 2 weeks, come back and get all this clarity from our attorney and everybody else. We're gonna be back at square one like we were last year, trying to deal with the language. That's what held us up last time. I would like, hey, we need to hold it for 2 weeks, but everybody will be on the same page. I think 2 weeks is not gonna hurt anything here, and we don't want to do the wrong thing.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Ford. Let's go to the vote on the hold. This is special item, I think, 3. Madam Comptroller, call the roll. A yes vote is a hold for 2 weeks to go to committee and then back to council. A no vote is to go to, I guess, an immediate vote on the amendment and the motion. Call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
No.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
Logan,
No.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson, Smiley.
Did you hear me? Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman
Abstain.
Robinson. Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
No.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Coldet.
Aye, that item is held. We'll take it back up in 2 weeks. Madam Comptroller, call item 24.
Item number 24 is a resolution addressing investigation into the Shelby County Health Department vaccine distribution and accountability. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Carlisle.
Councilman Carlisle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to move this item and second it, and then I'm going to, if Councilman Smiley is ready to hop in with some amendments, if that'd be acceptable to you, I'd appreciate it. So the committee met, sent this down without a recommendation, and I move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second. Canali.
Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Canali. We go into discussion. Council, JB Smiley, you're recognized.
I like how you said my whole name there, sir. I appreciate it. Just got the joy. Absolutely. I'm assuming Meredith is still listening because we're at 6:50 p.m. So if Meredith is still with us, Meredith, could we have someone to pull up the amendments? Are there any amendments?
There we go.
Yay. Is there any way we can make it larger? There we go. Okay, can we start with the very first amendment? I'm gonna pull it up on my phone so I can see it better. All right. So the First Amendment is in paragraph 3, where it says, "Whereas Governor Lee where are we? Scroll up some. We're too far down to the third paragraph. There we go.
We may need to put on the red line, maybe a little easier to see.
Yeah, the red line would have been easy.
Can I have presenter status, and I'll just throw it up there? I've got it right. I've got it on my screen. help my guy out.
Are you asking for presenter status, or you want me to go ahead and go through because we got the green arrow going?
Yeah, if that's easier, that's fine. Whatever's
You can
easiest.
put the green arrow beside the paragraph 3. Down one more. There we go. All right, paragraph 3, it starts, there was an amendment. We essentially just changed the language because it initially read, Governor Lee extended his trust to the Shelby County Health Department in Executive Order number 30 by giving. We amended to Governor Lee in Executive Order number 30 gave our locally run health department the authority to issue additional orders and measures related to the containment and management of spread of COVID-19. That's a slight change, modification. Words matter. I wanted to simplify to make sure it's something that this body could potentially agree on. Go down to the next paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Paragraph 7 starts with, whereas the Shelby County government and the Shelby County Health Department whereas the Shelby County Government and Health Department went so far as to officially, you see that one? Officially request that local municipalities not interfere or intervene. It's a period after intervening. The previous resolution went on to add additional information. Just wanted to cut that out and get straight to the point. I think this gets straight to the point. 2 paragraphs down, where Shelby County government officials have chosen to blame citizens, we just cut it out completely. And then get to the last paragraph of, not the last paragraph, the last page of this, where there was a lot of red line changes. Essentially what I did was cut out one of the whereas paragraphs where it initially said, whereas Shelby County Mayor continued to publicly support the failed leadership of Dr. Hassalter. We just want to cut that language out. It's not necessary in what we're attempting to do with this resolution. Just cut it out completely. And then the second whereas clause is we eliminated it to whereas the health and safety of our community require immediate action. I think we can all agree on that. And then we move down one more time and says, therefore be it resolved, the Memphis City Council does hereby request the state and federal investigation into the mishandling of the vaccine distribution. That's still there, but however, we moved another clause to let our colleagues or other elected officials in the Shelby County government know that we support their efforts to get answers going forward. And I think that's very important to let them know we're not here to overtake them, overstep our bounds, but to support them in their efforts to get more answers. I think we all want answers. I think we can agree on that. Then there was an additional, therefore be it resolved. Can we go down one more time? That I think I had. Down one more time. And then get straight to it. Be it further resolved that the Memphis City Council does hereby request the state of financial to mishandling vaccination. So this is original language. Get straight to the point. There is no name calling necessarily, not as heavy-handed as it once was. And I don't think this would offend our colleagues across the street. So these are amendments. I'm not.
Chair, may I be recognized?
Go ahead.
Hang on.
I'm thinking like it's my committee.
2 seconds. Councilman Smiley moves it. Give me a quick second on the amendment.
I'll
Need a
second it. I'll second it.
Jones seconds it.
Councilman Smiley.
Carlisle's recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Councilman Smiley, thank you for your diligent work. Certainly, I think last week I was appalled and angered, and perhaps some of that came out in this strong language. But I think the intent here of this body, like all of us, is we care deeply about the lives of our citizens and just want to make sure that we legislate accordingly and say that we hear what's going on. And so if this is a way for this body to stand together, I'm fully for that and will accept these as friendly amendments. I'd take it one step further, if you'll allow me, just the courtesy to make a statement. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that we all have to endure. And we've had a lot of discussions over COVID-19 over the last few years. And I know everyone in this body takes that being very seriously, that legislating at the end of the day is what we do, versus those out there in the Twitter sphere or on Facebook. for me, I've been as supportive as I can be over the COVID-19 vaccination efforts. I haven't failed on a single vote, save one, which was in June, talking about a mask ordinance, which I admitted I was deeply regretful for. But I will point back to my comments then, which was I believed in masking then, I believe in masking now. And the governor had given that authority to the Shelby County Health Department 2 weeks before we had that vote, and they didn't act. So I will say that that is my only regretful vote through the COVID-19 process. Otherwise, and I'm happy to be accountable for that. But otherwise, I've been there front and center with my colleagues trying to support every which way we can. And again, Councilman Smiley, I appreciate you and your work and taking the time to go through this. I know you didn't have to. So I just want to say that I appreciate that and I accept these as friendly amendments. And let's get back to saving lives and doing the work. That I yield the floor.
Thank you very much. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've worked very diligently as your representative on the COVID task force with the health department, and I'm going to be abstaining in this vote because I realized there were constraints that they were under that made their work even more difficult. I do agree that we need to have appropriate answers for where this went wrong, but I just can't move forward with this knowing how hard they worked and how tough it was for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Warren. Seeing no members in the queue, and nobody seeking recognition, I assume you're ready to vote on the amendment as Councilman Smiley has presented to us. Moved by Smiley, seconded by Carlisle. Madam Comptroller, roll call.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Abstain.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Abstain.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Abstain.
Smiley,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Abstain.
Chairman Colbert.
Yes, that amendment passes. Go back to the main motion. Seeing nobody in the queue, it was moved. Well,
Chair, I think that was moved as amended. Those were friendly amendments.
Okay, my bad. Item 24 passes as amended. Madam Comptroller, call item 25.
Item number 25 is a resolution requesting that the city of Memphis be exempt from Senate Bill 29-House Bill 105 of the 112th session of the General Assembly. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Smiley, and there is a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Our committee met, and this was sent down, I believe, without recommendation for us to vote on tonight.
Favorable recommendation.
It received, I believe, a favorable recommendation. Moved by Warren. Give me a second.
Second is Smiley. Call for the vote.
Seconded by Councilman Smiley. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 25. Moved by Warren, seconded by Smiley. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
No.
Carlisle,
No.
Easter Thomas, Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
No.
Robinson,
You're muted.
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colbert.
No, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, call item 26.
Item number 26 is a resolution creating a muffler exchange program. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Canali, Smiley, Councilwoman Swearingen, Councilman Warren, Carlisle, and Chairman Covette. There is a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Warren?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Moved by Warren, seconded by Councilman Canali. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 26. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Yes.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Covette.
Aye, that item passes. Call item 27.
Item number 27 is a resolution approving an honorary street name change of South Yates Road between Walnut Grove Road and Shady Grove Terrace for Mrs. Bert Adler Prosterman. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Warren, and there is a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Canali?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met. This item received no recommendation, but I will move it to the floor and toss it to Councilman Warren.
I'll second.
Councilman Warren seconds. Councilman Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Seeing that March is Women's History Month, I was very honored to be able to recommend our designee, Ms. Prosterman, Mrs. Bert Adler Prosterman. I did not know her as I had not moved to Memphis at that time, but she was evidently very deeply involved as a school board member assisting with the integration process of Memphis City Schools. She was very, very much into equity. Actually, her support of integration cost her a bid in her second term for the school board. And the quote that I have here when she was asked about her lost bid was, well, was it worth it? Would I do it again? And her answer was absolutely. So she did many other things during her civic career, including the following. She was general director and foundation director of the Memphis Botanical Gardens. She served as the executive director of Opera Memphis. She was executive director of the Memphis Epilepsy Foundation. She was a member of the Wolf River Conservancy and the Metropolitan Interfaith Association, Temple Israel, and the State Commission on Women. Her poise in the face of immense challenge, promotion of harmony within the city of Memphis, and tangible achievements that have resulted in an improved quality of life for all Memphians have made her a very worthy recipient of an honorary street name change in the city of Memphis. And today we celebrate and thank her and her family for all that she has done for Memphis. And I would appreciate any co-sponsors who would be willing to sign on with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Warren. If there's no objection, we'll add all council members as co-sponsors. Seeing none, done. I see no members in the queue. Moved by Canali, seconded by Warren. Assume you're ready to vote on item 27. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Covette.
Aye, that item passes. Well done, Councilman Warren. Madam Comptroller, call item 29.
Item number 29 is a resolution reallocating $1 million from the Council Emergency Relief Program to the City of Memphis administration for unanticipated costs of vaccine distribution. This resolution is sponsored by Council members Canali, Carlisle, Covette, Easter Thomas, Ford, Johnson, Jones, Logan, Morgan, Robinson, Smiley, Swearingen, and Warren. And there is a request for same night minutes.
Councilman Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Morgan, seconded by Carlisle. Seeing no members of the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 29. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Covette.
Aye, that item passes. Call our regular agenda item 12.
Item number 12 is appointment to the Health, Educational, Housing, and Facility Board, Sheila Harris. To the Memphis Animal Shelter Advisory Board, Shay Flynn. And a reappointment to this board, Jacqueline Johns. Memphis Area Transit Authority appointment, Antoine Mack. Memphis Housing Authority appointment, Sheila Terrell. That concludes item number 12.
Thank you, Councilman Carlisle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met, recommends approval, and I so move.
Second.
Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Canali. Seeing no members in the queue, I assume you're ready to vote on item 12. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford, thank you. Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Covette.
Aye, that item passes. Madam Comptroller, call item 15.
Item number 15 is a substitute ordinance of the City of Memphis to amend the City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Motor Traffic and Vehicles, Article 10, Vehicle Equipment and Loads, to amend Section 21-350C and Section 21-350F regarding muffler's noise. Up for third and final reading, ordinance number 5774 is sponsored by Councilman Canali. It was held from February 16th.
Thank you, Councilman Warren.
Mr. Chairman, the committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Warren, seconded by Councilman Canali. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, do we have comment cards on that one?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. I see no members in the queue. Again, it was moved by Warren, seconded by Canali. No members in the queue. Assume you're ready to vote on item 15. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Please call item 16.
Item number 16 is a substitute ordinance of the City of Memphis to amend the City of Memphis Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Motor Traffic and Vehicles, Article 10, Vehicle Equipment and Loads, to add subsections 21-335B and Section 21-336B regarding muffler violations and penalties. Up for third and final reading, ordinance number 5775 is sponsored by Councilman Canali. It was held from February 16th.
Thank you, Councilman Warren.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the committee met and recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Warren, seconded by Canali. Seeing no members in the queue, assume you're ready to vote on item 16. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley, Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye, that item passes. Good job, Ford. All right, moving right along. Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, you have our same night minutes?
Chairman, did we hear item number 20 or did we hold? Did you say we held that?
20 was a hold.
Thank you.
I tell you what, let's play the safe card. Long day. Staff, did I miss anything?
18 and 19 are hold as well.
Yes, sir. Tell you what, if I missed something, we could handle it, I guess, and clean up here in a minute. Madam Vice Chair Lady, how about same night minute?
You're muted.
Same night minutes are items number 21, 11, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Chair Lady Swearingen, seconded by Councilman Carlisle. Saying, Councilman Smiley, do you wish to be recognized? I would assume not. Jump in during the vote if we need to. I assume you're ready to vote on our same night minutes. Madam Comptroller, call the roll.
Councilmember Canali,
Yes.
Carlisle,
Aye.
Easter Thomas,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Logan, Morgan,
Yes.
Robinson,
Aye.
Smiley,
Aye.
Vice Chairwoman Swearingen,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Chairman Colvette.
Aye. Same night minutes passes. Madam Vice Chairman, do we have any public comment cards?
You know we do.
The voice for radio. Jamila, you have the ball.
We have a different way of doing it this time. We received public comments for the following topics: pet sales, muffler noise and muffler violations, and pilot extension funds. The numerical breakdown organized by topic, total comment, count, and position is as follows. Items 15 and 16, which represent proposed ordinances 5774 and 5775. Muffler noise and muffler violations received the following comments. A total comment, there were 44. Supporting comments for proposed ordinances 5774 and 5775 were 44. Opposing comments for proposed ordinances 5774 and 5775, 0. Item number 17, proposed ordinance 5777, the pet sales. Total comments, there were 21. Supporting comments for proposed ordinance 5777, there were 19. Opposing comments, 2. Item 21, pilot extension funds, there was a total of 1 comment. Finally, as a reminder, each of the comments accounted for above have been sent to and received by each member of the Memphis City Council. This curtails the comments for this evening, March the 2nd. Back to you, Council, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice Chairwoman. That brings us to the end of our regular meeting agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to recess.
Move to recess, Chair.
Second.
Moved by Carlisle, seconded by Warren. This meeting is now in recess.